Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Testing.
Well, good morning and happy Shabbat, sisters and brothers. I want to welcome you to another Shabbat of the Most High Yah here at the Multitude of Christ Ministry, where we seek to teach all nations of people how to find true salvation according to the Holy Scriptures. Today, we'll be going into part 5 of our history series, The Others That Carried Us Away. But before we get into the lesson, we're going to open up with Yah's prayer coming from the book of Luke. We'll have a couple selections from our wonderful choir, and then we'll get right into the lesson. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right, saints. So if we can stand and face Jerusalem, we will go ahead and open up with Yah's prayer, and then we will get a couple selections from the choir. We are going to repeat after Brother Michael. Go ahead, sir.
Our Yahweh,
Our Yahweh,
which art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom come,
thy will be done,
thy will be done,
as in heaven,
as in heaven,
so in earth.
so in earth.
Give us day by day
Give us day by day
our daily bread,
our daily bread,
and forgive us our
and
sins,
forgive us our sins,
for we also forgive everyone
for we also forgive everyone
that is indebted to us.
that is indebted to us.
And lead us not
And lead us not
into temptation,
into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory forever.
and the glory forever.
In the name of Yahweh Shah,
In the name of Yahweh Shah,
Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Now, if we could get the choir to the front, we will have a couple selections.
Testing, testing. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. All right. Well, again, we would like to welcome you to the Multitude of Christ ministry. We'd like to welcome you to the Multitude of Christ ministry. That's what happens when you live. But again, this is the MOC Praise Choir. I want to give thanks to Yahweh today. We've got two selections, as Pastor Johnny says. The first song is called "Be Glad in the Lord." So once y'all learn it, sing it with us. And the second one is "He's Coming Back." We good?
Hey.
All right.
Yes. Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Be glad in the Lord and shout for joy. Be glad in the Lord, the righteous shall rejoice.
Do you love the Lord?
Yeah.
And all that He has done for you? Praise Him with your voice. Sing to Him with gratitude.
You have to praise Him through the good and the bad. You have to glorify Yah even when you're sad. He has done marvelous things for you. Will you worship Him? He has remembered His mercies for you. Will you worship? Be glad in the Lord and shout for joy. Be glad in the Lord, the righteous shall rejoice.
One more time, y'all.
Be glad in the Lord and shout for joy. Be glad in the Lord, the righteous shall rejoice.
Make a joyful noise.
Hallelujah.
He has brought salvation to you. There's no other choice. Honor Him in all you do.
You have to praise Him through the good and the bad. You have to glorify Yah even when you're sad. He has done marvelous things for you. Will you worship Him? He has remembered His mercies for you. Will you worship? Be glad in the Lord and shout for joy. Be glad in the Lord, the righteous shall rejoice. Be glad in the Lord and shout for joy. Be glad in the Lord, the righteous shall rejoice.
Magnify His name. All things great and small, because He never changed. Oh, His mercy after all.
You have to praise him through the good and the bad. You have to glorify Yah even when you're sad. He has done marvelous things for you.
Come on, y'all.
Will you worship him? He has remembered his mercies for you. Will you worship?
Glorify.
Glorify, glorify, glorify the Lord.
Magnify.
Magnify, magnify, magnify the Lord.
Testify.
Testify, testify, testify of the Lord.
Glorify.
Glorify, glorify, glorify the Lord. Be glad in the Lord and shout for joy. Be glad in the Lord. The righteous shall rejoice. Be glad in the Lord.
Be glad, be glad.
And shout for joy.
Won't you be glad?
Glad in the Lord.
Yeah.
The righteous shall rejoice.
Come on, choir, be glad.
Be glad in the Lord.
Are you glad?
And shout for joy.
Ooh, won't you be glad?
Glad in the Lord.
Be
Righteous
glad.
shall rejoice.
Sing it one more time, y'all. Come on.
Be glad in the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And
Yes.
shout for joy.
Ooh, yeah.
Glad in the Lord.
Be glad, be
righteous shall
glad.
Glorify, glorify, glorify.
Glorify the Most High, Yahweh. Hallelujah. Magnify.
Magnify, magnify, magnify the Lord.
Testify.
Testify, testify, testify of the Lord.
Be glad.
Be glad in the Lord.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Yes.
Be glad in the Lord.
Woo, yes. Hallelujah.
Everybody glad.
Hallelujah. We're
Yeah.
glad in Yahweh because we know he is what, y'all?
Worthy.
He's worthy and he's what? He's
Good,
coming
good.
back.
He's coming back.
He's
Oh, yes,
coming
yes,
back.
he is.
Ain't he coming back?
He's coming
Yes,
back.
he is.
He's coming back.
But you got to be ready.
But you got to be ready. You got to do some work.
Yeah.
All
know
right, let's
about
crank
you.
that one up. Let's get
Yes,
ready.
Lord.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right. Come on, choir.
Get ready, he's coming. Get ready, he's coming.
Coming back.
Get ready, he's coming. Get ready, he's coming.
And that's a fact.
Get ready, he's coming. Get ready, he's coming.
He's coming back.
Get ready, he's coming. Get ready, he's
Let's have
coming.
some fun with this.
Hey, hey, he's coming back real soon.
Come on now.
Hey, hey, he's coming back real soon. Better start keeping his commandments.
Yeah.
So that you not are doomed. You better run to him in a haste before your time runs out. Don't let it be too late. Do you know what he's about?
If you wanna make it, you.
Gotta do some work.
If you wanna make it, you.
Have to read his word.
If you wanna make it, you.
Have to follow him.
If you wanna make it, you.
Must be free from sin.
Get ready, he's coming. Get ready, get ready, he's coming.
He's coming back.
Get ready, he's coming.
Hey.
Get ready, he's coming.
And that's a fact.
Get ready, he's coming. Get ready, he's coming.
He's coming back.
Get ready, he's coming. Get ready, he's coming.
He's coming back with a mighty vengeance. Oh yes, those seals will be broke. You better start keeping his commandments, because in them there's hope.
Yeah.
He died for all us to make it, not to burn in the lake of fire.
Woo!
If you're not ready for his judgments, seek him for your eternal life.
You wanna make it you.
Gotta read his word.
If you wanna make it you.
Gotta do some work.
If you wanna make it you.
Have to follow him.
If you wanna make it you.
Must be free from sin.
Get ready, he's coming.
Come on, y'all.
Get ready, he's coming.
He's coming back.
Get ready, he's coming.
Yeah.
Get ready, he's coming.
And that's a fact.
Get ready, he's coming. Get ready, he's coming.
He's coming back.
Get ready, he's coming. Get ready, he's
Let's
coming.
get ready, choir.
Get ready.
Oh, they need to know.
Get ready.
He's coming back and for the people.
Get ready.
Time is running out.
Get ready.
He's coming back and there's no doubt.
If you wanna make it you.
Gotta read his word.
Come on, y'all.
If you wanna make it you.
Have to do some work.
If you wanna make it you.
Have to follow him.
If you wanna make it you.
Must be free from sin. No.
Get ready, he's coming.
Yeah.
Get ready, he's coming.
He's coming back.
Get ready, he's coming. Get ready, he's coming.
And that's a fact.
Get ready, he's coming.
Ooh.
Get ready, he's coming.
He's coming back.
Get ready, he's coming. Get ready, he's coming.
And that's a fact.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Praise him. Hallelujah. All right. Praise the Most High. Give us just a moment, saints. We're going to change the room around for the lesson. Mic check 1, 2, 3. Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, mic check 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, sisters and brothers, we got everything situated with our technology. We are going to go into right now, sisters and brothers, part 5, the others that carried us away. A couple things we want to do first. Brother Mike, get me Deuteronomy chapter 6. I want us to read a scripture that all Israelites should know, by heart. Just as you know Yah's prayer, you need to add this into your memorization of just scriptures that you are able to recite off the top, off memory. We're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 6. And this is an understanding of the greatest commandment, right? Christ was asked, what is the greatest of these commandments? What he was really referring to was back in Deuteronomy chapter 6. And we're going to get right to the point of it. But let's start at verse 2 and read on down to, let's just say, verse 6. Deuteronomy 6, verse 2 through 6. Go ahead.
That thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son's son, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged.
Commandments, plural. Go ahead.
Hear therefore, O Israel,
Yes.
and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as the Lord God of thy fathers hath promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel.
Listen, Israel. Go ahead.
The Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might.
Go ahead.
And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart.
Sisters and brothers, you got to get this scripture and make it a part of your daily reading, your daily understanding, and teach it to your children so that they may teach it to their children's children, so that when they get into the so-called New Testaments, into the Gospels and testimonies, they're not confused with doctrine.
Yes, sir.
Because everything you need to know, sisters and brothers, as an Israelite is summed up right here in Deuteronomy 6. You can start at 1 through 9. But we read 2 through 6 today because that is the bulk of the understanding that New Testament seminary preachers are trying to preach, but they're teaching it in error in their understanding of their so-called New Testament gospel. But it clearly outlines these commandments, plural, teach it to your sons and your sons' sons, at any moment, at any time that you have an opportunity, right? If we would have gotten to verse 7, it would have told you when you wake up, when you go to sleep, when you're in the car, when you're sitting around, when you're picnicking, you should be just reciting and getting your kids to recite to you Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 1 through 7. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right, Brother Mike, if you could open us up with a word of prayer. Sisters and brothers, let's get our hearts and our minds right. Those of you that are scattered across the ends of the earth, those of you who know who you are, or those of you who are trying to find out who you are, or those of you who are just watching with skepticism. Thank you, Luther. So those of you who are just watching to look for errors and cracks and criticisms, hey, you're going to learn something today, sisters and brothers. Go ahead and open up.
Are Yahweh,
Uh-huh.
God of Abraham, Isaac, and of Jacob.
Yes.
Yahweh, we come to you, humbling ourselves on your Sabbath day, saying thank you, Most High, for allowing us to make it to yet again your Sabbath. As we dwell together and have a holy convocation, we pray and we ask that all things be edified by you and that it's orchestrated by you, Yahweh. We ask that you allow your Ruach to pour down upon us today and let us deliver your message to your people boldly so that they may be edified. I ask that you allow me to read your word without constriction or confliction, that your people may be able to understand the message that you are bringing to them today. Through the mouth of our pastor, Pastor Johnny, I ask that you allow whatever message it is that you have put on his heart to deliver to your people, that your people hear, and not only hear, but they understand. And not only understand, that they be ye converted in your name. In the name of your son, Yahweh Shai, we ask that all your people come from to and fro to be amongst the brothers and sisters and dwell in your name, in your holy place.
Yes.
We ask that you forgive us for any sins we may have committed unknowingly this week. Yahweh, we only know in part, but the part that we have, we pray that it is ordained by your word.
Yes.
In your son, Yahweh Shai's name, we ask these things. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Good prayer, brother. Good prayer. Hallelujah. So let's get into it, right? I don't want to keep you long, but it's going to be long. What else you got to do on the Shabbat? But learn.
Learn
And read.
and read.
Like the Messiah did, it was his custom.
Yes.
Like Paul did, as his custom.
As his custom.
We're in the sanctuary. We're going to learn today.
Yes, sir.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So this is part 2, or the others that carried us away continue. So we're going to be 7 parts, right? I take my ribs advice. I can't give you everything, and I don't want to take a series to a 20-part series, right?
Right.
But I could, right? But what I want to give you in this so-called Black History time period, I got to set, it's 7-part series, right? And the others that carried us away is continued, and then we'll get into part 6, the hidden and the lost, and we will conclude with the prophecy to redeem the chosen.
Yeah.
So let's recap, right? Part 4. Part 4, we got into Quita, Wida, or Judah, the kingdom that was in Africa, right? Mm-hmm. Where on the west coast of Africa, particularly where the slaves brought from. Mm-hmm. And who were these slaves? Well, that slave coast was right in the kingdom of Judah, mm-hmm. right? Jews were in West Africa.
Yes.
And when the Europeans came to take slaves, they went to this particular area, right? Mm-hmm. We also got into Israel's commandment for the treatment, how Israel actually treated its servants. We talked about the difference between indentured servant and chattel slave or mm-hmm. chattel servant. There's a difference, right? You go back into part 4. Then we talked about where did this spirit or this great idea come from for the Europeans to bring servants over into the new world, old world, new world, old world. You got to get into that research to understand it was just new to the Europeans. Mm-hmm. It wasn't new to the people that have already been coming over here, right?
Right.
So we talked about the papal bull. So even today, Europeans as early as or as late as 2012 were using the Dum Diverses to cite reasons why they should take land from the indigenous people of the North Americas. And if they did it in North America, I'm sure they did it in the islands and are still doing it in the islands. They're still doing it in Central America and South America. Mm-hmm. They are using the papal bulls given to them, the patents or the licenses given by the popes, which allows the Europeans or the white class to go and take it from the Saracens or the dark people or the indigenous people of the lower classes anywhere in the world where they deem to be, they are taking it by force. Mm-hmm. And then they're converting those indigenous people into Christians and then to love your master. Mm-hmm. Love the person that just came and raped, plundered your land, your sacred places. Now they're teaching you to love, but one thing you got to see that there is a difference in Christ. There is a difference. We're serving the Messiah of the book, but the people that are colonizing and taking, they are serving the vicar of Christ. Mm-hmm. So we went into the vicar of Christ versus the Messiah of the Bible. Right. This Hebrew Mashiach, mm-hmm. right? Yahushua.
Yeah.
Right? So when you say Christ, Jesus, you're taking away the Hebrew context. So then now you're getting into replacement theology, which takes you right to the vicar of Christ and mm-hmm. his teachings, which is totally different than Yahushua, the Mashiach, the Hebrew Messiah, and what you can read in this book.
Right.
There's a difference. And the Jesus Christ or the vicar of Christ gives you Dum Diverses or papal bulls, which allows you the Europeans to go around the world and subjugate all those that won't convert. So they're coming with their Christ or their sword, and you're either going to convert or die.
Yeah.
Right? So we really got into the doctrine of discovery, manifest destiny. Hey, ain't no colored people walking around talking about manifest destiny.
None at all. None at all.
You start talking to a European to say, stop talking about that old stuff. Stop looking in the past. Listen, it's still going on. It never went away. By law, Dum Diverses, doctrine of discovery, manifest destiny has now through the Supreme Court become law, sisters and brothers. You are bound by law now. It used to be just by patent or by license from the Pope, but now they've indoctrinated it into the laws which govern this United States of America.
Yeah.
So you can't separate I mean, I got a lot of European friends that I grew up with, a lot of so-called Caucasian friends I grew up with. They don't know no more about manifest destiny and doctrine of discovery than I did. But now that I've taught it, and now that you know, now there has to be a conversation. Do you still love me like you loved me before you knew I knew that you didn't know that you should have known? Why you and your people are at the top and everybody else of color is at the bottom?
Yeah.
If you go from part 1 to even part 4, you should understand that now, do you love me just because of my talent? Do you still love me regardless of my skin color, although you know skin color and racism rules this world?
Yes.
Do we still serve the same Christ? Did you always know? I believe there's some guys that I went to school with, I know they knew.
Yeah.
If they didn't know about dumb, diverse, and manifest destiny, they knew about racism, classism, socialism. They knew from their parents what was what, even though they didn't know the history behind it, right? You may not like what I'm teaching, but I'm teaching the truth, and you would one day are going to have to deal with the truth, right? The truth will set you free. So let's get out of this fairy tale hocus pocus world, and now let's see if we can have a real conversation about real history, who you are, who I am, and why we're on different equality levels, right? So if color don't matter, justice and equality should matter.
Right.
And it can't be justice and equality. You have to know that, my European, my Caucasian brothers and sisters, my Christians, my saved and sanctified European, you still would have to know in the church there is an inequality. There's an inequality. So we went into, finally, the initial explorers that first came to the North Americas. And it was not Christopher Columbus. It wasn't. And then today we're going to learn about an explorer that got even more credit than Christopher Columbus. Why? Because Christopher Columbus didn't even do the greatest of things, even though he initially came to the islands of the Americas. Many more explorers that we don't have time to go into that depth of history really came in and did the work throughout the South Americas, Central Americas, and even initially into the North Americas. Before the Europeans of Great Britain or France or up north, before they even got in the game. They wasn't even in the game yet. Hundreds of years, the Spaniards and Portuguese was already over here before the Northern Europeans even got into it.
Right.
That's why it matters who you are. All so-called classified white people aren't the same. Also, all so-called black people that are classified, that come under that banner, are not the same.
Yes, sir.
That segues me into our first slide. Let's get Isaiah 43:1. Let's get into the scriptures. Let's just get right into this. Why, Pastor Johnny, and why those that walk with the multitude of Christ, we do not call ourselves or consider ourselves black. Whoa. But it's Black History Month.
Right.
But we're not black.
Right.
Am I the color of this remote control?
And
If you can see this, are we the same color, remote?
Nope.
No, remote. What color are you, remote? I'm jet black. What color are you, Pastor Johnny? I'm not jet black. So why will we allow someone to stick that label on us? And then why would the so-called black people, I think they are black. Any negative connotation you want to give the people that are at Washington, that are lobbying and fighting for derogatory words like black and black history and black anything, black power, black whatever. Any of you sisters and brothers that are fighting for the crayon box color, man, you are opposed to the scriptures.
Yes, sir.
You are living in some delusionary world, and you are thinking, hey, I'm just going to go to the master. I'm going to create a word. Let's just take the crayon box color, and let's see if they give us some rights for being called a color. The color, there's no ethnicity to color.
Right.
There's no nationality to color. You can't go to the UN and lobby color.
Right.
There isn't even no civil rights for that color black. Have we got it yet?
Nope.
Have black people got any civil rights for the color black yet?
No, sir.
Where the black caucus at? The black congressman at? They not doing nothing. They went over to that black category. You know what? They took that almighty dollar and they just sitting around getting fat.
So they
Just show up when they're supposed to show up.
stuck in the black, huh?
Stuck in the black.
Stuck in the black.
Because black don't represent nothing but the people that consider themselves black.
Mm-hmm.
See, they over there talking for black. I ain't black. You ain't talking for me. Actually, if you was talking for me, how did it benefit me? It hasn't benefited us yet. So why consider yourself black? Or why consider yourself African?
Mm-hmm.
How does that work for us? You got Africans apologizing for sending us into slavery, so we're not the same? Or are you saying, what are you saying without saying it?
Yeah, yeah.
You're either saying I sent my own people away, which is damning, or I sent some other people that look like me, but wasn't me nationality-wise.
Right, right.
Huh? Now we're talking about nationality-wise, who did you send? Because it's easy to say black people send other black people. Well, obviously, there's 52 nations over there in Africa that was split up by Europeans, so the native indigenous people didn't even have it split up that way. I bet there was hundreds, I bet there was thousands of tribes within that continent.
Mm-hmm.
Europeans came and chopped it up like the United States into different countries,
Yeah.
right? But we're gonna get into these terms. We're gonna really get into it. We got into this last year into like part 1 and part 2. We in part 5 now. I kind of saved it, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because everybody's waiting for all the good stuff up front. I'm trying to learn the climax and get to the real good stuff with the people that have shared and come along with us throughout this journey that have watched 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? If I'd have gave it to everybody in 1, they wouldn't even watch to see who got redeemed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you start with this current stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? The current lies, right? That's under Black history. Well, you just go to YouTube and Google Black history and you'll see the same old stories, right? But let's go, Isaiah 43. Let's get into it. What are you saying, Pastor Johnny, that ain't nobody else saying? You know, I know Black history. Do you?
But do you know your history?
Do you know your history and how it lines up with the Bible? Or like my brother, we had a conversation and he got into it with somebody and they just said, hey, a young Jewish girl said, hey, my parents taught me that you guys were Gentiles. So you got the European Gentiles saying black people, colored people are Gentiles. Now you got Jewish people teaching their kids that colored people are Gentiles.
Yeah.
See, I use colored, I use black, I use melanated. I mean, none of them tell you who you are. You're just trying to describe my color of my skin. You know what I'm saying? None of that gets you to the nations, which out of the 18 nations listed in this Bible, you're either one of them or we're really aliens. We're one of them or we're really aliens from outer space, if there is such thing as outer space or outer world. What? I mean, come on, man. It's 2020. We still ain't figured out who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We still have people calling us colors and different nationalities that don't match up. Isaiah 43:1. What that say, brother?
But now thus saith the Lord that created thee,
Uh-huh.
O Jacob.
He what? He created.
He created thee,
Go ahead.
O Jacob.
Uh-huh.
And he that formed thee, O Israel.
So he actually formed them. Yeah, he chose them. He took them out of all nations. Go ahead.
Fear not.
See, these people, this nationality of this bloodline of people, he created them, he formed them, he plucked them out of all the people of the world. He chose them as a peculiar people, a kingdom of priests, right? Everybody in the world can't be this one family line. It just can't be. Go ahead.
Fear not.
He told them not to fear. Everybody else, you need to fear the judgment of the Most High. And back then, when we had our power, we were obedient, you needed to fear us because we had the Almighty Creator on our side. Go ahead.
For I have redeemed thee.
He has redeemed them.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
I have called thee by thy name.
Whoa. He called them by thy name. What?
Israel.
Yasharallah. Watch this. Is it Israel?
Thou art mine.
Thou art what?
Mine.
He called them by thy name. Thou art
Mine.
his. Okay, go to Isaiah 45. Write that down. He called them by thy name. Thou art mine. Write your notes. Oh, I forgot to tell you, man. If you ain't got your smartphone with memos, if you ain't got no piece of paper out, no printer paper, you got to be taking notes every week.
Yeah, man.
Huh? If you're going to go in the contrary or speak contrary to what's coming forth, you need to be taking notes so you can go back and study to make sure you really know what you know. Or I'm really talking about what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You got to rightfully divide and discern what it is you hearing. Because if you never heard it, you could say it's not true, but it's only not true because you ain't never heard it and you ain't never did the research behind it. We've been trusting our teachers and our preachers our whole life just to come and find out they lied to us. It's bittersweet, right?
Yeah.
I heard somebody is sweet because I found out the truth. It's bitter because I also found out my people either lied to me or they just didn't know. And they still told me a lie. They either lied and didn't know, or they just went on with whatever was taught, or they knowingly taught us in error. Isaiah 45, go to the 45th chapter, read verse 4, brother.
For Jacob, my servant's sake.
We say the same thing. We talking about Jacob, whose name was changed to, was it Israel? Go ahead.
And Israel.
We got to understand this book was translated into English. Go ahead.
Mine elect.
The elect. There ain't no other elect except Israel, whose name was changed from Jacob. Sister, brother, there ain't no, the Christian church, the Catholic church, we already went into that. That's Vicar of Christendom. That's Serapis Christum.
Yeah.
But the Hebrew, ain't no other nation of people, these people. That's a whole different seminary theology doctrine of lies. He said, Jacob, whose thy name art mine, Israel my elect, go ahead.
I have even called thee by thy name.
By thy name that I gave you, go ahead.
I have surnamed thee.
Whoa, he has surname. What's your surname? Your surname is your master name. What was your name before the master gave you his name? Go ahead.
Thou, though thou hast not known me.
Though thou hast not known him. He gave them a surname. Now let's look at something. Surname. You got it up there on your slide? Surname.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
A surname. Family name.
Your family name. Everybody walking around proud of their family name. Okay, you can be proud of your first name, you be proud of your second name. But that last name, that family name, how did you get it? And if it ain't from your indigenous roots, who gave you that name? Why are the Europeans so mad when you sit that name down? That name doesn't mean anything but colonization. Right? You trace that name back, boom, you right on master's land. Right? He named everything after himself. We're going to get into it. Go ahead.
Or last name.
It's your last name, family name, surname. So the Most High God is saying, I gave Jacob my family name.
Yes.
That's what he said. I called thee by thy name. I have surnamed you. So he gave them his name. Go ahead.
Is the portion in some cultures of a personal name that indicates a person's family or tribe or community.
The Most High God gave them that name. How could that be everybody else in the world? How could you be spiritual Israel? He didn't surname everybody in the world.
Right.
Why would there be a chosen people if he surnamed everybody? That means you shouldn't use that word chosen or particular if everybody is that. Go ahead.
Depending on the culture, all members of a family unit may have identical surnames, or there may be variations based on the cultural rules.
So everybody got the same name, Johnny Luter, Patrick Luter, Shell Luter, this Luter, that Luter, Goodman's this, Thomas Goodman, that, Michael Porter. Where do we get all of these last names that make us feel like we're in that family group? Where did that name come from here in the Americas? How far can you go back And is it to your indigenous roots? Well, we could probably say the brothers and sisters that's on reservations, they're probably upholding, thundercloud and, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
rolling winds, whatever it was given. But that's still the English version of whatever that name was given in the Sioux culture, Cherokee culture, right? Wampanoag culture, Narragansett. The English came and tried to give their English version of whatever they was told, right?
Yeah.
But that's a surname, family name. But in Isaiah 45:4, he said, I have surnamed thee. So was it Israel or was it Yasharallah? When you go into the letters of Israel and you take out all those vowels and all those vowel points, watch the other lessons I got. You take out all that Masoretic and you take out all that Matrice Lexiconus.
Yeah.
You get to Yasharallah.
Yes, sir.
The father's name is Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
He surnamed him Yasharallah, the Yahudim, right? The tribe of Yahuda. The Messiah came, Yahweh Shai.
Yes.
Does that make more sense, or does Israel make sense? Where did Israel come from? Because Israel don't sound like God, because many of you don't even know the name.
Right, yes, sir.
And then the Jewish people don't use the name. They say Adonai. So
Adonai,
does
that's right.
Israel sound like Adonai? Does Israel sound like Jehovah? Yahweh? No, none of that makes sense.
No.
But you know what makes sense? I give you my surname, Yasharallah,
Absolutely.
because my name is Yahweh,
Yahweh.
and my son's name is Yahweh Shai.
Yes, sir.
Don't that make sense?
It makes sense.
The tribe of Yahudah,
Yahuda. Yes, sir.
the Yahudim. You see what I'm saying? Don't that make more sense? You take away all of that English and Greek and Latin and Matrice Lexiconus and Masoretic vowel points. It makes sense. But you can't get to that point in your vicar of Christendom,
Yeah.
your Serapis Christendom,
Yeah.
your replacement theology dumb. You see what I'm saying? Your dumb diversus dumb. You see what I'm saying? Dumb, 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 dumb. You got to break the spell of the dumbs off of you.
Dumb diddy.
Huh? I have surnamed you Israel. Well, we'll use Israel. We'll use Jesus. We'll use those simple terms because we're trying to bridge the gap between where we once was and where we are now, sister and brother. You'll hear us keep reading. We're going to read the scripture just like it is, but we're trying to get you in context. What makes more sense? The children of Israel, his chosen people who are surnamed Yasharallah, we can call on his name Yahweh. We can do that because we are his people. We are under his covenant. We are supposed to keep the commandments.
Yes.
But everybody in the world are not surnamed. They are not chosen. They are not elect.
That's right.
So we're not black. Because you know why they don't want us to say Yasharallah? Because now they know what comes with that. That's a nation of people that they tried to wipe out for thousands of years. Remove the remembrance of these people for thousands of years. But these people keep on having babies. They just keep growing. Wherever we move them in captivity, they just keep growing. We can't kill them fast enough.
They multiplying, baby.
Surname. Your surname. That's why you'll see brothers and sisters renaming themselves.
Yeah.
Taking that colonized name, which means nothing, but it puts you back into that colonized system of slavery, which gives you a birth certificate, which gives you a social security number, which they trade on the open market for whoever the real master is. And the real master got to be the same one that wrote the Papal Bull, that gave the Doctrine of Discovery, Manifest Destiny for all Europeans to go put all colored people into what? Perpetual servitude. See how I ran that down? You got to go back and rewind that. So you got the slave master's surname, which ties you to the document, which is still being traded, and that's why you work. And before you get your money, somebody swoops off 25, 35, depending on your tax bracket, it's some money that you don't work for that just disappears and you can't fight to get it back.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody taking some money from you before you even get it. You're not just working for yourself, is the point. Is it Israel or does Yasharallah sound more like the surname that Yahweh would have given to his chosen people?
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep going. Deuteronomy 28. But you would have had to know that. Somebody would have had to teach you. That's why I'm sitting here reading the scriptures to you, right? For those of you who didn't even know that. I'm telling you, you got to go back to part 1 and read on and catch on up with these lessons. Spend your time wisely. Cut that TV off. Put that phone down. Get off that social media. Because next year, we don't want to be talking about, oh, it's Black History Month. No. We want to be going to wherever they are celebrating Black History Month and say, why are you calling yourself that?
Yes.
There is no reparations. There is nothing ever, no civil rights ever going to come to people that call themselves a color in a crayon box. It ain't ever going to happen. Deuteronomy 28, start at verse 1 for me, brother, and then we'll drop down.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently.
Y'all remember that word? We're going to keep hearing, hearken, listen. Don't worry about the King James. I'm going to give you the layman. Listen, right? Go ahead.
Unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments.
Not just to observe, not just to know that the commandments are there, but to do them. Go ahead.
Which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Above what?
All nations of the earth.
All nations can't be the chosen people because he just told you these people, Yasharallah, that I gave my surname, I set them above all other nations of people on the earth. So I guess that kills that Father Abraham was the father of many nations, right? It's many nations that came from his seed.
Yeah.
And if you didn't even come from his seed, you are excluded from even that covenant.
Yeah.
He is saying that from his seed line came this Yasharallah, which had 12 sons, and my covenant is with them.
Yeah.
And if they go off, they can be grafted in. They are the elect. They are the saints. Those are my servants that I'm talking about. And you can't be taught the truth of these scriptures unless one of them is teaching you. And listen, Yasharallah, if you listen to me and hearken and do my commandments, I will set ye above all nations that are upon the earth. I didn't say that. He said, don't listen to Pastor Johnny. At the beginning of that, he said, hearken to me. Hearken to Yahweh. Hearken to him. I'm just a shepherd. I'm just reciting what is written.
Yes, sir.
Right? Drop down to verse 10. Go ahead.
And all people of the earth
And all these people that you are above, go ahead.
shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord.
You got to get the name right. Christians still saying God, Lord. Somehow you got the name of Jesus, but you ain't get the name of his Father. And then some people might say his name is Jesus, so God's name is Jesus. Really? Really? English, this last universal language that came from Greek, Latin, and all kind of Gothic languages mixed. Like these are the last rulers on the earth. Many other Europeans ruled even before this language, right? But English, this language that just came on the scene in the 14 and 1500s, this language that just got a hold to the Bible in the 15th century, right? The ones that took it from the Catholic Church, now these Protestant people obviously know the name. The Catholics done had it for thousands of years. They done had our scriptures with the Apocrypha in it. We get in the 15th century, all of a sudden these Northern Europeans, these Frenchmen, these Germans, now they go steal the Holy Book and translate it in their language, and they take it from Isa to Jesus to now it's Jesus, which in Latin means earth pig.
Earth pig, yes, sir.
And the Messiah of this book said, I come in my Father's name. So, But when you go into the Strong Concordance in Jesus, it says Yah is salvation.
Yep.
Yahweh is salvation.
Yes.
So if Yahweh is his name would be Yahweh Shai. How you get G? Come on, y'all, stop playing. Even the translators put the breadcrumbs in there for those that want to be looking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh? The real children of Yasharala is looking behind this English illusion.
Yes, sir. Make it plain, Pastor. Make it plain.
Take this translation and then go look at the other translations, then go look at the other translations, and then look at their notes behind what they saying. And right there, G2525, it says Jesus. Yah is salvation. Yah is short for Yahweh.
Yes.
Yasharala. So his name would be Yahweh Shai.
Yes.
Take all the vowels out, the Matrice Lexiconus and the Masoretic vowel point. Take it out of there.
Father, yes.
They telling you they added it in there. Why? To make it sound like their Slavic language, their Caucasus language, their European-sounding Greco-Italian language. But they don't talk like that in Yasharal. They don't talk like that in the Arabic world or the Aramaic world, whatever you want to use. But see, he said in verse 1, all nations are supposed to do what? Wait. This is a blessing, right? 1 through 14 giving you the blessings if you're obedient.
Yes, sir.
He already said he gave us his surname. Verse 1 said he set us above all nations of the earth.
Yeah.
In verse 10, read it again.
And all people of the earth.
All people, including Yasharal and outside of all people, go ahead,
shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord.
Is the name of the Lord black?
No.
Is the name of the Lord African?
No, sir.
The name of the Lord is Jamaican.
No, sir.
Huh? The name of the Lord is Asian.
No, sir.
Huh? Give me another island name. Bahamian?
Yeah. Trinidadian?
Trinidadian?
No, sir.
Huh? Any of that, brother? Is it any of that?
Mongolian? No, sir.
These same nations are the ones that took Israel and put them into captivity, that their names should be no more. And guess what? These colonizers gave these Yasharal their surnames.
Yes, they did.
Only people proud of their colonized surnames is the ones that benefit from it.
Right.
Huh? That benefit from the lineage of that colonizer's last name. They the only ones that's happy.
Yeah.
Huh?
For profit.
Running around good old Stockholm Syndrome slaves.
Man,
huh?
ain't it
It's
funny?
like somebody coming in, you watching them rape your mama and kill your daddy, and then in 20 years, you got their name and you love them, and what? How easily you forget your past that wasn't that long ago.
Right.
But now we got these new black people, African Americans, and they they will fight you about the colonizer.
Yeah. Oh, man. What?
They good people. What does good people mean?
Nothing.
If there's a real race war or a real nationality war, where are them good people gonna be? You think them good people gonna be standing by you? The only reason they were standing by Martin Luther King because it was nonviolent.
Non-violent?
If Martin Luther King was violent, would they be there?
No,
would
sir.
that rabbi be there?
No,
would
sir.
that white pastor be there? No. It was just
Non-violent.
political. Huh?
But it's taking a political stand.
It was a political stance,
that's what it was.
nonviolent.
Non-violent.
What I'm saying is, I'm walking with you because I don't want your people to come after me.
That's right.
So I'm gonna agree with you to be nonviolent.
Right.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Called by the name of what?
The name of the Lord Yahweh.
So at this time, the nations knew what the name was. Why don't we know the name?
Still stuck.
We stuck in God and Lord titles.
Stuck in black.
And then we look to the Jewish people and they say, it's unworthy to call upon it. We're going to use Hashem.
Yeah.
We're going to call Adonai.
Adonai.
Because they ain't the chosen people.
That's
They
right.
don't want to bring damnation on themselves trying to call on the real name because they know the real name. Hey, they dare not.
And they careful not to say
They're
it.
careful not to.
Careful not to say it.
Huh? Let's keep going. So when you look at, man, I got these slides out of order.
No, we didn't finish that scripture either, Pastor.
Oh, okay, go ahead, verse 10.
And all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord Yahweh.
Yes.
And they shall be afraid of thee.
You know why they not afraid of us? Because we don't know who we are. We don't know our surname. And we have no connection with our true and living Elohim.
Right.
We don't have no connection with our power.
No, sir.
They know we're in Vicar of Christendom. They know we're in Serapis Christendom.
Yes,
we're
sir.
under that new church, new universal world church. They know that we are far from this Hebrew God.
Open season on the black man.
It's open season. Why would they be fearful of us and we don't even know his name? We can't call upon him to get help.
Man.
Huh?
Yeah.
Let's look at something. Let's go to, missing some scriptures. Hold on here.
My next one say by word.
Yeah, let's, I'm missing a slide, but I know it by heart. Let's drop down to verse, it should be, okay, there it goes. Did I move it? Okay, let's get a definition then. Give me the definition of by word. Let's just follow it like it say.
Okay.
I ain't gonna trip. That's you know what I'm saying? You get to mess with your lesson and be like, okay, it probably should have been the scripture there. But let's go ahead. No, can't do it without the scripture. All right.
Okay.
Let's go to drop down to Deuteronomy 37.
Okay. I'm finna say
Deuteronomy 28:37.
Gotta get the pretense
Yeah, you gotta
first.
you gotta get the scripture first. Put it in context.
Yes, sir.
So where we was at though, before we get there, we was in verse 10, and we should have been what? We should have been calling on the name of the Most High, and all the people should have known that we are Yasharallah. We are surnamed after the Most High Elohim, right?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, read verse 37.
And thou shalt become an astonishment,
Uh-huh.
a proverb, and a byword.
Well, hold that. Go up and read me verse 15. Why would we ever be an astonishment to the same nation of people that should have been scared of us because we hearken and listen to the commandments of the Most High God?
Right.
Read verse 15.
But it shall come to pass,
If it's going to come to pass, go ahead.
if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
If you don't listen to these law, statutes, commandments, if you in a church and they tell you the commandments is done away with, they under the blood, and you don't have to read that Old Testament, that's Old Covenant, any of that, right? Go ahead.
To observe to do all his commandments.
And you don't observe to be obedient to what he say, go ahead.
And his statutes,
Yeah.
which I command thee this day. That all these curses shall come upon thee.
All these what?
These curses.
Hey, you know in our community, boy, we all about them family curses and voodoo and somebody putting a hex on us. And you got Whoopi Goldberg saying, whatever done to me, gonna return to you twice. Color Purple, right?
Yes, sir.
We got all of that stuff in our movies, right?
Yeah.
Don't step on the crack. Gonna break your mama back. Knock on wood. We all into that superstition, right? But we ain't listening to the scripture where it say the curse is going to come up on us for disobedience.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And overtake thee.
And do what?
Overtake thee.
You know what it means to be overtaken by a curse, overwhelmed? Don't you feel overshadowed? Like ain't nothing going to be right? Like I can't get right, boss. I can't get this situation to change, boss.
Yes, sir.
You better start looking in the mirror and reading these scriptures, asking your spiritual leader and pastor, hey, why is this on me?
Yeah.
Why can't I get a break?
Why me, oh Yah?
Why us, oh y'all? Why everybody that's considered black under that? Why you think other Africans and other colored people that come here, they ain't black?
Yeah.
You go look at their census record or their job application, they saying, I'm non-Hispanic, but I ain't black.
Right.
Other.
I'm other.
Other Nigerian. Other Ghanaian.
Yes.
Other Congolese.
Yes.
Other South African. Everything but black.
Everything but that.
They from Africa, but we the only ones using African. The people that's from over there, they not even using that, and you better not call me black. Because it's offensive. Call me a color. Drop down to verse, that was it?
Yes, sir.
So disobedience. Now drop down to verse 37. Because of our disobedience, go ahead.
And thou shalt become an astonishment.
To all those nations of the world that were supposed to know who you are, now you in astonishment. Go ahead.
A proverb and a byword.
Woo, go ahead.
Among all nations whither the land, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
Wait a minute. Why would the Lord take us out of the land that he promised us? We his people, he gave us his surname. Why is he moving us out of the land that he promised us flowing with milk and honey? Why are all those nations that's supposed to know who we are because we call by his name, why are they now calling us all kind of derogatory words?
But we didn't
Colored,
hearken.
Negro, blue man, swarthy. Jamaican,
Yeah.
Bohemian. You know, we using everything but Yasharala. They said byword, right?
Yes, sir.
Now let's go back up to that slide.
All right.
Go back up to the byword slide. Read that, brother.
Byword.
Uh-huh.
Neonah. Chanel. From H8150.
Uh-huh.
Something pointed.
Uh-huh.
Byword.
Uh-huh.
Taunt.
Keyword, taunt. Read that next bullet point.
Sharp word.
A sharp word, a taunt, when somebody calling you something that you ain't, it's like a sharp knife hitting you, right? First thing you say, I'm feeling some kind of way. You call me everything but my name. What that mean? You go to a different state or a different community and they call each other by some other kind of slang. You're like, hey, what that mean? I want to make sure you call me a kafir. What that mean? You call me dog. What you mean by dog? Oh, no, that's good. Cuz, blood. You know, anything outside of my name, because the real man come up and say, hey, what's up, brother? My name Johnny. What's your name?
Mike.
So I can always call you what?
Mike.
All these young kids running around, N-word this, N-word that, N-word. None of them know their name. They don't
That's
ever
true.
know their name, huh?
That's true. Somebody get your name. What's his name? I don't know his name.
We just call him Man
Call
Man.
him man.
We just call him Shotgun. You know what I'm saying?
That
What's his
little
real
dude
name? I don't know. Where he live? I don't know.
I don't know.
Every time I see him, he just already on the block. I don't know.
He be always walking.
Right? So it say these nations is going to call us a byword.
Yeah.
Byword means sharp word, a taunt, right? Now, what is a taunt?
A taunt is a battle cry. Sarcastic remark.
A sarcastic remark.
A gesture.
Nigga, black, colored.
Yeah.
Sarcastic, a taunt.
Yeah.
Who gave us these names other than a real surname or other than your real name? Go ahead.
Baptist. Or insult.
An insult.
Intended to demoralize the recipient.
Did you know when you call yourself black or African American or anything but your true ethnic nationality, you are demoralizing. You are insulting yourself. So somebody up high is changing these classifications on our applications and on the paperwork, saying that all the other melanated people in America agree with it, that will label themselves that. Right now, what it say? African American, black, right? African American or black?
Yeah, black or African American.
Black or African American. If you ain't neither, you say other and you say who you are. But if you don't know who you are, you got to go along with a title or a taunt or an insult or a sarcastic remark that somebody has put on there that comes with no rights. Go ahead.
Or to anger them, to demoralize the recipient.
Right.
Or to anger them and encourage reactionary behaviors without thinking.
So you become what you call yourself. Right? An N-word acts like an N-word.
Yeah.
Black people act like black people. You call somebody ghetto, that's a taunt, that's a byword, that's an insult. I ain't ghetto, I ain't hood, I ain't black, I ain't colored, right? Coon, any kind of derogatory taunt, byword. Hey, where did this stuff come from? Who originated it? It encourages a reactionary behavior, right? Jigaboo. Huh?
You start jigaboo, you get to do the jam.
What a jigaboo? Monkey. You calling me a monkey? What are you calling me? Gorilla, right? I heard that on my football team back when I was in college, man. We almost had an all-out war. Real talk. Everybody that know me that was around that time in 95, they know we almost shut down the whole program.
Yeah.
They was over there and we was over here and it was going to be a problem. Don't nobody know that about that code. But we almost shut that thing down. You ain't gonna walk around like you in your own hometown talking derogatory taunts about different people that you know ain't in a majority there. You see what I'm saying? All white people ain't the same.
Yeah.
They don't behave the same. All so-called melanated people ain't the same either.
That's right.
You can't classify us all as ghetto, ratchet. You know what I'm saying? Uncouth. You can't be putting all these taunts and bywords on us. Go ahead, finish that. I don't want to stay on this too long.
Taunting
My blood pressure going up.
No.
Go ahead.
Taunting can exist as a form of social, competition to gain control of the target's cultural capital.
So socially, the more the majority keep using these derogatory words,
The more it's going to come in great.
has the Stockholm victim now taken on the byword that the oppressor's giving them? Oh, no, we don't say nigger, we say nigga. It's a sign of endearment.
Yeah.
We take the ER off and put an A on it, huh? It means something different. No, it don't.
It don't mean
It
nothing
means you are
different.
crazier than you sound when you say it.
Exactly. To justify
To justify,
the use of
we
the
took
word.
the ER off and put the A on it. Man, you sound crazy.
Oh, y'all some educated, swarthy people, huh?
Yeah, hey, man, hey, that person famous, if he can get the rest of the people to socially accept
Yes,
the
sir.
insult, it don't change the behavior.
It does not.
Now you saying it, right? I saw a white Gentile say, I mean, what it makes sense why y'all gonna hit me in the mouth if I say it, y'all say it.
Right,
Well, you
right.
can't say it. See how stupid that sounds? You shouldn't say it. That means the other races won't say it.
Yeah.
How you gonna say it about yourself? They around you and all you saying is nigga. And then when it come out of their mouth, you want to hit them. That ain't right.
But we went as far as making a song about it and say, I'd rather be NRGG.
Yeah, they use music
You know what I'm
to
saying?
make slow people be slower.
Yes, sir.
Because you don't know no better. You don't know no better, you can't do better.
Can't do better.
Real talk. A taunt and the byword. The same people that's supposed to be scared of us, you walking around, they can come in your community, just walk up and down. But if Pastor Johnny come through there, they be like, where you from, cuz? Who you with? What you do? You got the wrong color on here. You might just haul off and shoot me, but they can just walk up and down the block. And then it's gentrified, and then they got all the houses, and then you the last one standing. They take you off to prison, community gone. And you wonder how that happened. They supposed to be afraid of us. No. No. They're not afraid of us no more because we don't have our Alahayim, we don't call by it, and we don't call ourselves by it.
Right.
They call us what they think we are, and they teach their kids. And the worst one that they would tell their kids is, we, the chosen people of the Most High, are Gentiles.
Man.
We, the other people now, you done took our God and our scriptures and made us the derogatory term.
Flip-flop.
They done flip-flopped it on us. All right, now drop down to verse 4. Let's go to Psalms 44 and 14. Let's see it in another place. Let's get another witness on this byword. Same people that are supposed to know, hey, don't mess with them. Hey, that's them children of Yasharallah, and they can call on Yahweh, and they can bring down fire from heaven. You remember Sodom? You remember what happened in Egypt? See, the real children of the Most High, all through this Bible, that's all you hear about is Egypt, Sodom. Why? Because the true children of the Most High know that they can call on him, and if it happened then, it can happen now. But as long as you don't know who you are, man, they ain't got nothing to fear. But as soon as these people find out who they are and call on their true power, it's a wrap. Psalms 44, verse 14, when you got it. 44, 14. Go ahead.
Thou makest us a byword.
So now who made us a byword? The same power, the same God that made everybody in the world fear us because of our disobedience and our continued disobedience. Now the other nations are now calling us astonishments, proverbs, and bywords. And read it from the top again.
Thou makest us a byword.
Among who?
Among the heathen.
The people now that are heathens are now saying they the children of God and we the heathen. It'll flip-flop. Go ahead.
A shaking of the head among the people.
Don't they shake their head, man? Look at them niggas.
Boy, look at them niggas.
Look at them black folks. Look
Boy,
at them
look
African
at
Americans.
'em.
Always on the news, right?
Look at them.
Same black person shoot somebody, 25 to life. White boy, oh, he had mental illness. He been playing too many video games. We gonna give him 5 years at the psych ward and get him on probation.
No.
Time served.
He has a social disconnection.
Social disconnection with his understanding of manifest destiny. We gonna talk to him and we gonna get this white boy back on track. We'll get this bro. He just don't understand, that he really free. I mean, hey, You killed another color. We don't care. But we're gonna play the media. You know what I'm saying? You understand how it go? We the heathen. We the byword. And now we calling ourselves those same bywords.
Yeah.
So let's go back up to the top slide, brother. Let's keep going. So now let's look at some of these bywords and break them down. Negro, right? Let's look at the etymology of Negro. Let's look at this taunt. Go ahead.
Negro, member of a black-skinned race of Africa. 1550s, from Spanish or Portuguese. Negro, black.
Black.
From Latin, nigrum.
So black, Negro just means black.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Nominative, nigger. Black, dark, sable, dusky.
Dusky.
Figuratively,
Dusky, black, Negro, nigga. You can't take the ER off and put an A on it. This is the etymology of the word. This is where the word came from the Spanish and Portuguese, the first slavers that hit the American peninsula. This came from the colonizers, those that came and raped and brought disease, stole all the gold, burnt down everything, cut off body parts. These people was calling the taunt. They came and subjugated a people and called them this taunt.
Yeah.
I'm black and I'm proud. You crazy, dusky Negro. By definition. It sounds crazy when I said it, right?
Yeah.
But by definition.
That's
Don't we
what it
talk
is.
about each other like that? If we talk to each other like that, surely the other nations going to talk about us like that.
Yeah,
they
man.
gave us these derogatory taunts and bywords. Go ahead.
Figuratively,
Figuratively.
gloomy, unlucky.
So when you call yourself black or a Negro or a nigger, you say I'm gloomy, I'm unlucky. Go ahead.
bad,
Bad.
wicked.
Do you know that black, I'm bad and I'm proud.
I'm wicked and
I'm
proud.
unlucky and I'm proud. I'm wicked and I'm proud. By definition, I'm gloomy and I'm proud. By definition.
Man.
That's the etymology of the word Negro. You really call yourself a black-skinned person. Where's my remote? A black-skinned person
Yeah.
that's gloomy, unlucky, bad, wicked, dusky, sable. Go ahead.
According to Divine,
Uh-huh.
of an unknown etymology, according to Watkins,
Yeah.
perhaps from pi, nuquat.
They don't know.
Means night.
Somebody just made it up.
It's a nuquat.
Hey, somebody just made the word Negro up, tied it to black. Man, we call them niggas, them Negroes, them. You know what I'm saying? It's all derogatory.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead.
As an adjective from 1590s.
Yeah.
Use with a capital N.
So there's a difference between a capital N
And a
Negro
lowercase
and a
N.
lowercase
Yeah,
Negro.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Became general in early 20th century.
Oh, okay.
1930 in New York Times style book in reference to U.S. citizens of African descent, but because of its perceived association with white imposed attitudes and roles with the word was ousted late 1960s in the sense by black.
So they stopped saying Negro because the white people kept using it and imposing it on these colored people from Africa.
Yeah.
So they just started calling you black. But they still mean you unlucky, gloomy, bad, wicked.
Dusky,
Negro, black. Same thing. The black was just supposed to have softened Negro.
Now everybody know we've been somewhere we heard somebody elderly in our community say, "Look at them little dusty niggers."
Right.
You know it.
Nigger, Negro, black. It's all a derogatory byword and a taunt. We
Absolutely.
didn't call ourselves that.
No sir.
So go to the next slide. Let's look at this definition of Negro in the definition, right? Because y'all remember that Guyana, right, that slave coast where these so-called Africans came from was really Jews from the kingdom of Judea.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
look at this definition of Negro. This is particular Negroes from Africa.
Yes, sir.
All Africa they don't call them all Negroes because the Ethiopians are Ethiopian and Egyptians Egyptian. Huh? A Zulu's a Zulu.
Yes, sir.
A Zambian is a Zambian.
Right.
Right?
And they knew the difference.
A Ghanaian, a Nigerian. But when you get around that Ghanaian coast, they want to call them Africans and not who they are, the kingdom of Yahudah.
Yes, sir.
Right? But what does it say that definition of Negro is? Go ahead.
Negro,
Uh-huh.
one of a dark-skinned race having woolly hair.
Wait a minute. Didn't it say members of black skin race from Africa, a Negro? Go ahead.
Having woolly hair?
Oh, don't forget that woolly hair.
Yeah.
Huh? Because there's other dark-skinned races of people and they have tight hair.
Yeah.
It don't grow woolly, ever. Go ahead.
A flat nose,
They got a flat nose,
thick protruding lips,
thick lips, without
And-
collagen. Go ahead.
and a prognathious form of skull.
Uh-huh.
Native to Africa.
They say they native to Africa, but you know, Jerusalem is in Northeast Africa. That Middle East, that's something newly called. Go ahead.
Where the term Negro appeases most specifically.
Wait a minute. Where the term Negro applies most specifically. Go ahead.
Applies most specifically to the Bantu stock
Y'all remember what them Bantus was in the last lesson? Go ahead.
of the
South.
of the South
Bantu stock of the South. Go ahead.
and the people of the Central West areas near the Gulf of Ghana.
Where was that Ghanaian at? That was right there at the slave coast. That's where the kingdom of Judah was. Part 4. So these Ghanaians, these Bantu people, they was called Negroes. These woolly-haired people that had kingdoms around them with all tight-haired people.
Yeah.
Huh? These other dark-skinned people that was like, who is these pretty Negroes with this woolly hair around us? Take them. Huh? Because they already don't fool with us. They got these different festivals. They eat differently. We can't buy and sell with them on certain days. Take them away. They bad for business. Take them as slaves.
Yeah.
Right? That's all I wanted on that. Let's go to the next slide. Let's see who made this word Negro popular. Go ahead.
Negro. Professor Booker T. Washington.
Boy, we always got some profound. See, if I'd have did my history about all this stuff we done learned through school, what would be the difference, right? But I'm coming to you with a different perspective with our so-called black historic leaders of the past. Go ahead.
Booker T. Washington.
What'd he do?
Being politely interrogated
He was one of them nice Negroes. Go ahead.
as to whether Negroes ought to be called Negroes.
Wait a minute. So they asked him,
They asked Booker T. Washington.
as the representative of all the colored race, should those colored people call themselves Negroes? What'd he say?
Or members of the colored race. Has replied that it has long been his own practice
Hey, this is what I do. Go ahead.
to write and speak of members of his race as Negroes.
So if any of us that we hold the most popular colored person in America, who is our most popular colored American right now?
Barack Obama.
Barack Obama or Jay-Z or whoever, right? If they say it, if they want to change our name to do you think Barack Obama, do you think the so-called colored people would have a problem with calling themselves apes? And he gets on CNN or Fox or gives it to the New York Times and says, well, you know, I've always called the people of my race apes.
Well, you know, Bob,
Then it'll make it, then what does it say?
it says, and when using the term Negro,
Wait, he says he's long been its own practice. So it's been Booker T. Washington's practice to write and speak of the members of his race
as Negroes.
as Negroes. So they always get the most popular or the one with the most prestige or the one with the most influence.
Yeah,
See, Pac had that influence,
yeah.
so he titles his songs and calls people N-I-G-G-A's or thugs, thug life.
Yeah, he
now
made
everybody
thug
walk around
popular.
saying thug life. I'm a thug. Hey, my niggas, not niggas. Like I put an AZ on it. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. Now everybody in the hood, what's up, niggas? Hey, nigga. Hey, nigga. You still calling yourself what? Unlearned. Gloomy, unlucky, bad,
unlucky,
wicked.
Wicked.
Let me just get my people to call me a hip-hop version of wicked, bad. It still means black,
Yeah,
huh?
it's the same.
They make these derogatory taunts. The Gentiles create them, like they're in the factory whipping it up What can we get these people to call themselves next?
Yeah.
Colored, Negro, Black, African American. I'm just waiting on the next person to bring up the next one.
Yeah.
What they gonna add next after this 2020 census? What we want to call these colored people now? We got to keep the confusion going every 20, 30, 50 years. We got to keep calling these people something different. What we want to call them now, brother? There's somebody somewhere just whipping up the confusion. Huh? Finish that?
And when using the term Negro as a race designation to employ the capital N.
So, me, Booker T. Washington, when I write and I use it, I use Negroes and I put the capital N, meaning these are some capital Negroes. You know,
Negroes.
I'm really accentuating my words with Negroes. These are Negroes of the Negro sort.
They special because the N is capital.
I don't care if it's capital or lowercase. I mean, you still calling your own people gloomy, unlucky, wicked.
Swarthy little blue man.
From the highest colored person that gets to walk around the other races.
Yeah. Booker T, of all people.
But let's go to the next slide. So I want to see this difference. Go ahead.
Ham.
Ham,
perhaps hot. I, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes.
So after the flood, if all mankind came from Noah and he had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and now they're saying we know that all these dark races at this time of biblical understanding was right around North Africa, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had the who? Egyptians,
Yeah.
the Ethiopians,
Yeah.
the Libyans, and the Canaanites.
Yeah.
Right? These people are still in those same areas today.
Right.
So are they going to say he's the progenitor of the dark races, but what?
But not the Negroes.
Not the unlucky, black, bad, wicked, not those people.
You know, we wasn't good enough.
So where did these Negroes come from? If they telling you you're not Semitic and you're not Japhetic, are you an alien? So the people that call themselves Negroes now have no racial classified identity.
That's right.
From the Gottingen School, where they created this whole racial scientific lie.
Yeah.
Now the Negroes who come from that Bantu area of Ghanaian, the slave coast that was brought over to the Americas, these specific people from the kingdom of Yahudah, now they are not even a Hamite. So all dark people are not dark people.
That's right.
All black people are not black people, and all Africans are not Africans. So where did these capital letter Negroes, you see it's capital, where did these capital letter Negroes from? These capital letter Negro, these unlucky, wicked, where they the unluckiest of lucky who call themselves Negroes.
Right.
Where did they come from if they didn't come from Egypt? Great kingdom of Egypt.
Right.
Ethiopia has had kings all the way to the 17th and 18th century.
Right.
You're not Egyptian.
You're
not Libyan. You're not even under Gaddafi, who was trying to bring Negroes over. You're not a Libyan.
Right.
And you're not a Canaanite. So where did these colored people come from that have no racial classification identity? You're not going to go to the definition of Shem and find them.
Nope.
In a Bible dictionary. And you're not going to go to the Japhetic definition and find these Negroes. So out of the colored people, didn't it say specifically dark races?
Yeah.
If everybody came from Noah after the flood, where did these dark people come from?
Yeah. Because he got some dark people in there, but the Negroes ain't one of them.
All dark people in so-called Africa come from Ham.
That's right.
Except these dark people. It's telling you they dark, but they just didn't come from Ham.
That's right.
Go do your research on that. So let's look at this map. Let's hone in, right? Because we read in part 3 in the scattered, right? And the dispersed, we know that Yasharallah, after Titus and Vespasian, they fled into Africa. And then they ran right into who? Put, Mizraim, which is Egypt, Cush, which is Ethiopia, and Lud, which is the Libyans. They came right from the land of Canaan and ran into these other dark races. So more likely they kept on doing what? Moving on further to the south.
That's right.
Huh? But out of these dark races, Canaan wasn't Israel. Then they come from the Ur of Chaldees into Canaan. So then they dwelt there for hundreds of years until they moved into the land of Ham.
Mm-hmm.
And when they was in the land of Ham, you can see they were moved all the way to West Africa and then to Central Africa into the land of Guinea, Guinea.
Mm-hmm.
But these colored people weren't the same colored people of the Hamites. We know that's true because Abraham didn't come from the land of Ham. He came from the land of Shem.
That's right.
I need you to do your research, sisters and brothers. I'm going to leave that right there. Let's keep going. Let's look at this word black, because we just saw that Negro was just another word for black.
That's right.
Let's see where this word black came from, because you black and you proud. I used to say that, man. I used to want to get the dashiki, get my little symbol of Africa on there. You know what I'm saying? But what if I wasn't from that part of Ham?
Yeah.
Maybe I should have had me a Middle East, Iranian, Iraqi looking Euphrates necklace or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, because the scriptures, these Negroes, the Bible definition tell me I'm not from that part of Africa.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe I should have just got me a medallion that was just in that Ghanaian Bantu area, the slave coast.
Yeah.
Maybe I just need to get me a pendulum of the slave coast.
Yeah.
Or just get it big old slave coast. Kingdom of Yahuda, of Weta, of Quita. Right?
Yeah.
That would be better than the whole land of Africa, which the Bible definition say, these Negroes, you call me a Negro, my people from here, we ain't from over there. No. We ain't from the land of Ham, where you could see Ham was dispersed after the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, I mean, if you ain't watched part 1 through 4, it's probably going over your head. But if you've been following us along and you watch more than 10 minutes, you should be getting edified, right?
Yeah.
But read that slide of black. Go ahead.
Black, of the very darkest color.
Why can't he just be dark? Why got to be of the very darkest? Can black be different shades of black? No, it's black.
Black is black.
Black don't get no blacker. It's a cut. See the game? Do you see the game? Read that from the top again.
Of the very darkest color.
How does it get any darker than black? Do we know of anything in this world that's darker than black? Is there shades of black? Black is black.
It could be blue black.
Man, come on. Then it's blue black. It ain't black. If it got blue, it ain't black.
If it got blue, it ain't got black.
So it's a little lighter. Come on, man. This is semantics. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Excuse me, of the very darkest color, owing to the absence of the complete absorption of light.
Go ahead.
The opposite of white, of any human group.
You see these semicolons in there? That means they're adding extra things to accentuate their point.
Right.
They want you to know that after they built that scientific racism, that white and black are the polar opposites.
Right, yeah, they put it on
180-degree difference. On the one side, you got white at the top, and at the bottom, you got black, and you got every shade in between. That's how they created the spectrum. Mm-hmm. That's what they want you to know in your mind. We are opposite. Go ahead.
Of any human group.
Now we're talking black in the human context, not they left the Crayola, which can't be no different shades of black.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Now we're talking about humans. Go ahead.
Of any human group.
Right.
Having dark colored skin, especially of African or Australian Aboriginal ancestry related to black people.
So are we from Australia?
No, sir.
Well, the Bible dictionary said you either from Put, Mizraim,
or
Canaan, or Ethiopia.
Yeah.
The Negroes didn't come from none of them.
No, sir.
But now we got these dark races in Australia, and they're just saying Africans and Australians are black.
Yeah. Or Aboriginal.
So why did they get, where did these Negroes come from that they call them black?
Man.
It seems like just like the Most High chose his people out of all people, seems like the Europeans is now selecting these certain colored dark people out of all dark people, and you have no existence. You have no racial identity, and you're not from nothing dark.
Yeah.
The Most High selected these people out of all people.
Yeah.
And now here you got the opposite of the Most High, which is the deceiver, now saying these people we call Negroes that we brought from Africa who are not really Africans, they from the tribe of Yahuda, or they from Judea, which is Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Now we're saying these people, we're going to call them Africans, but they didn't come from anything Hamitic.
Yeah. We're going to put a name on them, though.
We got to give them some kind of byword, but we ain't going to tell them who they are.
Right. We're going to make it hard.
I'm just showing you through the names and bywords how they're trying to remove a certain people on the earth and kill a certain people on the earth and stop the restricted movement of a certain people on the earth as opposed to other dark races on the earth. Go ahead, next slide. Black.
Black. Old English. Blake. Absolutely dark.
Absolutely dark. That Negro is absolutely dark. But he's not dark like the other dark people from Ham. He's a different dark.
Yeah.
Right? Go ahead.
Absorbing all light. The color of soot.
Some melanated people, they just walk out in the sun and just give them all that vitamin D. But they absolutely dark. Go ahead.
The color of soot. Or coal.
Yeah.
From Proto-Germanic.
Yeah.
Black ass. Burn. Source also of old. Norse blacker.
Yeah.
Dark.
Dark.
Old High German. Blah, blah.
All these Northern Europeans, boy, they got all kind of blacking, black ass. Everybody got their own version of these absolutely dark people that they trying to classify. When you say you black, I'm black and I'm proud, you don't even know the origination of the word and how these these colonizers are using it.
So now you got to ask somebody, well, which black are you?
Yeah, what kind of black? You absolute
are
black?
You black ass black?
Yeah, you black ass, you blacker, you know, black in. Like, what kind of black? Go ahead.
Swedish black.
Ink.
Dutch blackened. To burn.
To burnt black. Go ahead.
From pie. Blag. To burn, gleam, shine, flash. Source also of Greek, fliegen, to burn.
Yeah.
Scorch.
Yeah.
Latin,
Yeah.
flagar.
Yeah.
To blaze, glow, burn. From the root, bell.
Man, it's all derogatory. There's nothing about this word that should be used in connotation outside of a crayon.
Yeah.
Because when you bring it into the humanity side of it, it's a taunt.
Yeah.
Go ahead, next slide.
Black. The same root produced Old English black. Bright, shining, glittering, pale.
They not calling you that. Go ahead.
The connecting notions being perhaps fire, bright, and burn, dark, or perhaps absence of color.
Man, that is so contradictory.
Absolutely.
Nobody uses the word black for bright.
Or fire.
Or fire. Or pale.
Man.
In no way. Go ahead.
There is nothing more variable than a signification of words designating color, Wedgwood.
Go ahead.
The usual Old English word for black was swart.
So Negro came from black, and black came from swart. I'm showing you something now. Go ahead.
According to the OED, in me, it is often doubtful whether black, Blake means black, dark, or pale, colorless, colorless,
livid,
wan, livid.
Go ahead.
Used of dark-skinned people in Old English.
So Old English, basic point, they are saying you are black and without any color, which makes no sense because you have the people of hue and the sun. What did it say about the sun? You absorb sunlight, right? But when they start talking about black people, they use it derogatory, right? They're trying to say that black is without light when you say someone white is without color.
Yeah.
Right? They're trying to say being without light is bad and without color is good. They're just reversing the terms from the definitions. But let's keep going. So swarthy, right? So Negro came from black, black came from swart. Go ahead.
Swart. Old English. Swart.
You see who your colonizer is, right? Who came and colonized America? The English.
The English did.
As far as the Negro is concerned.
Right.
Right? 200 years after they came and fought the indigenous people of South America. From Florida to Mexico, the Spanish got ran out by the English, the British, and the American colonized army, right? Go ahead.
Black, dark, of night, clouds, also figurative, wicked.
So there you get that Negro black. Wicked. That's what they saying. You wicked, you unlucky, you bad. That's a bad Negro.
Yeah.
That's a bad black person. I'm black and I'm proud. I'm bad and I'm proud. You think that chant, did they know the definition of black?
Nope.
You sure they wasn't saying, I'm wicked and I'm proud? I'm unlucky and I'm proud. They didn't.
But if they would have been saying that, they would have been telling the truth.
If they known better, they'd have probably picked a different
Pick a
chant.
different chant.
Say it loud.
I'm Yasha
I'm
Raleigh,
Yasha Raleigh and I'm
and I'm
proud.
proud.
Go ahead.
Infamous,
Infamous.
from Proto-Germanic.
You got famous and you got infamous.
Infamous, yeah.
Go ahead.
From Proto-Germanic, Swarta. Source also of Old Frisian, Old Saxon, and Middle Dutch, Swart. Dutch, Zwart. Old Norse, Zwarter.
You know, up in Dutch in the Netherlands, you know every year when you're celebrating Christmas and you have a white Santa and elves up in Dutch in the Netherlands, you look it up on YouTube. They have a ship coming in with Swarty Pete and his master.
And his master, yep.
And Swarty Pete is another white person in blackface coming to give the children gifts. And they do this in every house.
Yeah.
The house dresses up, someone's in blackface, and they come in and they celebrate Christmas. And the little black, unlucky, wicked elf is
Say
a
it.
slave,
Yeah.
a dark slave.
Say what they
And
really
they do
call
the
him.
chant, and they do this ceremony every year. Look up YouTube, Swarty Pete, Netherlands.
And they changed it from Swarty Pete to the N-word Pete.
Well, Swarty is
What is really
better than saying the N-word.
N-word Pete, yeah.
We recognize the N-word capital.
Right.
We don't know what Swarty is. No one has ever taught us
Nobody ever taught us
Swarty. But Swarty over in Europe is just like Kaffa in Africa.
Yeah.
Just like N-word in America. Go ahead.
German, Schwarz, Gothic, Swartz, dark-colored black. From Pyrute, Swarto, dirty, dark black.
Man, I gotta be dirty. I'm already unlucky. I'm already wicked and I'm bad and I'm infamous. Now I'm dirty. So black comes from swart and Negro comes from black.
Yeah.
And swart, they're saying you're dirty, you're dark, you're dirty, you're wicked. Go ahead.
Source of sordid, the true Germanic word surviving the continental languages, but displaced in English by black,
Right.
of skin color of persons
They
from
stopped using swart over there and started using black. Well, the blacks of our land, the blacks of Europe, the blacks of French, the black Scottish, the black Grecian, you know what I mean? They started using black instead of swart because they started figuring out the derogatory nature of swarty. Go ahead.
a 14th century related swartist.
Go to the next one.
Swarthy, dark colored, especially of skin.
Yeah.
1580s, unexplained alteration of swarty.
So when you say swarthy, you talking about dark-skinned people. That's what we talking about. Swarthy became black, black became Negro, Negro became nigger. Come on, y'all. Watch these words. So let's go on. That's why at the Multitude of Christ, we don't call ourselves black. We don't use any kind of taunt and byword. And we call ourselves by what we know in the scriptures. The nation that we attach ourselves to is Yasharallah.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's move on. The others that carried us away. So I just wanted to give y'all that in the intro. Let's start at Psalms Is that where I'm at? I'm in the right place?
We at, mine say cursed by word, Deuteronomy 28:37.
No, we already did that.
That was a slide that was supposed to go in front.
No, keep going. Go back. Going forward.
All right, here we go.
Psalms 49.
That was right there. Yes, sir.
I should have read this one earlier, but it still goes right here. Why are we calling ourselves by the surnames of our colonizers? And why do we reference ourselves by anything but our biblical name? Call me Jake. Call me Israel. Call me Jew boy. Call me something, but don't call me black, Negro, nigger, colored, coon, swarthy. Psalms 49, verse 6 and 7, and then we'll drop down to 10 and 11. Have you ever read this scripture? Go ahead.
They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches.
See, it's always the colonizers or the so-called Caucasians with all the money trying to make change, trying to be culture vultures, and the people that are allowing it are our so-called high-up blacks in any industry. They are always making the deal and taking the deal for the change. It's always the wealthy, right, that are boasting themselves. Go ahead.
None of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him.
See, none of y'all can say, like the rich young ruler and Lazarus, the beggar that was in front of his house, none of you with your money can save yourself from the lake of fire, and none of you can save your brother or sister from the lake of fire. You just wealthy and building all this stuff up on this earth today, and you can't take it with you when you move on, right? Drop down to verse 10. Go ahead.
For he seeth that wise men die. Likewise, the fool and the brutish person
The rich and the poor die the same. The foolish and the wise both go to sleep. The mean and the righteous, they all perish. Go ahead.
and leave their wealth to others.
And whoever's left it's in your will, it's in your trust, or your family just gonna fight and steal everything. Or it's gonna be eminent domain. Landlord gonna take it all. It's gonna be left to others. If you pass away and you ain't got your paperwork together, hey, what do you care about what happens after you die? It's gonna be a free fall. Others are gonna benefit from your wealth if you haven't taken care of what happens after you pass away. But what else with these wealthy and rich people that boast? Verse 11.
Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever.
They buy this land, they buy these big ranches, and the next thing you know, before you pull up on their house, they got this big old name on their fence or on their land. They got this big old placard, and they say what? Go ahead.
And their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names.
Ain't that what they having? The Goodman Place.
Yeah.
The Porter's Pavilion, Porterhouse, right? Luterville, Luter Ranch.
Yeah.
Everybody naming it after the Gates. You know what I'm saying? Bill Gates and all of them. You pull up on their property, big old 20-foot, 40-foot gate, big old name going across of it. You know where you come, right? Back in the country, you go to some families, you turn up on that street, that street is named after them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whoever did it back when they bought it, they're like, this is my street, this is my land. When you got it like that, you do it like that. Yeah. We in these 30-year mortgages, we probably try to put our name on that house, that thing foreclosed, you got to scrape that thing out. But when you rich and you know you done bought it, man, hey, this mine is supposed to be in my family forever. Right? They calling their names. Everything is continued forever by their own names. What's your name? Where you get your surname from? You got your surname from the person that owned that land where your people was. What, ain't that what happened?
Yeah.
What's your real surname, though? And if you don't know that, if you watch part 1 through 4, you got to tie in what you know. I'm going to try to get it down to about 200 years of your life history. Coming from the Tower of Babel, you could do all your research up to the 1800s. I'm going to get right there, 1600s, 1800s. You got 200 years of information. You can find out who you are if you just go and be diligent to look. If you don't care and you like your slave master surname and you like being called after the land where your people were sharecroppers or where they had to do chattel slavery, then I can't help you. You know, you the ones like calling yourself black and Negro and You know, you like being a taunt and a byword. You just don't want to be called the elect.
Yeah.
Not by biblical, but by Christianity.
Anything but that.
Yeah, I want to love everybody and let everybody into a covenant that was only really in this Bible for a certain people.
Yeah.
Right? Let's keep going. Let's look at another definition. African. This is where it's going to be like this for y'all. I thought this was about the others that carried us away. It is. But if you don't know about the dumb verses and the papal bulls and the doctrine of discovery and manifest destiny and about racial scientific racism, and you don't know about these bywords and the curses that were supposed to be upon a certain people, these certain capital letter Negroes that aren't from the dark races of Ham. I'm just trying to tie it together, man. Rewind it and keep watching it and pray the Most High to let it sink in what I'm saying to you.
Yeah, man.
You're not black. You're not Negro unless you accept the derogatory nature that comes with it. Mm-hmm. And you're not African American unless you accept the derogatory nature that comes with that.
Yes, sir.
But what's the etymology of African, brother?
African?
Uh-huh.
Old English African, Africanus.
Yeah.
Plural. Native or inhabitant of Africa.
Inhabitants of Africa. Go ahead.
From Latin, Africanus, of Africa, African. From Africa. Africa, used of white residents.
Stop. Wait a minute. Did y'all hear that? Can they hear that? Is that microphone moving online? Y'all following us? Read that sentence again.
Africa, used of white residents of Africa. From 1815. Used of black residents of the U.S. from 18th century.
Stop. So 1815s, that would have been in the 19th century.
Correct.
Use of blacks from the 18th century?
Yeah.
We didn't use that. We didn't call ourselves African.
Nope.
But why does it etymology say the white residents used it first?
Because they considered themselves to be African.
African is a Hamitic land.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You go start from there. Use of blacks.
Use of blacks residents of the U.S. from 18th century, when it especially meant one brought from Africa, and sometimes was contrasted to native-born Negro.
Native-born Negroes. Sister and brother, man, you just got to get etymologyonline.com, and you got to type in African, and you just got to ponder and read this. Latin Africanus.
Yes.
And then you got to read used of white residents of Africa from 1815. Mm-hmm. Then used of black residents of the U.S.
In the 18th.
So what was the black people in Africa calling themselves? They wasn't calling themselves African.
They sure wasn't. They couldn't have. They didn't even know they were.
They still had kingdoms in Ethiopia.
Right.
They still had the kingdom of Judah.
Right.
I showed you the picture where they had a coronation of their king in 1774.
Right.
That's the 18th century.
Right.
The same place where all these slaves came from, they had an actual king of Judah.
Yeah.
In Ghanea, where the Bantu people were. See how I'm tying all that together?
So
who was calling these black people in the U.S. Africans?
So we talking about 3 centuries ago, right? Because we in the 21st century.
First.
And they said this was used by black people in the 18th century. Where were we in the 18th century?
Don't get ahead of the lesson.
I'm sorry.
Calm down.
I'm sorry.
He know where we going, though.
Man.
Praise the Most High for that. But take that statement, write that note down. Where were we? Say it again.
Where were we in the 18th century? What were we doing?
Where was your ancestor? Where was your great-great-grandfather in the 18th century?
Man.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Pastor.
That's all right. Afrikaners.
Yes.
White residents in Africa in 1815. Mm-hmm. Black residents were called Africans that were brought from Africa in 18th century. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Was contrasted to native-born Negroes as an adjective by by 1560s, pertaining to Africa or Africans,
Yes.
Old English
Yeah.
had Africanics. From 1722, as of or pertaining to Black Americans.
Black Americans. We already covered black.
Mm-hmm.
Black Americans called themselves Africans. Just the Black Americans that was brought over here.
That would kill the whole African American then, if we Black Americans.
So let's look at this. I want to show y'all something. Y'all see that word Africanus?
Yeah.
Y'all remember we talked about Rome in part 3?
Mm-hmm.
When Rome was gaining its power and they went back west and took Spain, and then they came and took Carthage. Then they had an army big enough to come and fight Greece.
Yeah.
You remember that whole 3 Punic Wars where they gained northern Africa, Carthage?
Yeah.
Y'all see that map? The Vandals, the Carthaginians, Hannibal.
Yeah.
Then they were powerful enough to remove the Greeks and fight against the Greeks. Well, let's look at this word Africanus that just happens to be in the definition of African.
Yes.
Read that. Scipio Africanus.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of Scipio Africanus? Let's see what he did, brother.
Publius Cornelius Scipio Armilius Africanus Numantius.
That's why you might not know about him, because when you try to Google and look him up, he got a whole 5 names. A whole bunch of surnames and titles. He got his dads and grandpas. It's 6 of them.
Yeah.
Publius, Cornelius, Scipio, Aemilius. See, you might see Scipio Aemilius. Because when I typed in Scipio Africanus, it came up Scipio Aemilius. Aemilianus, right?
Yeah, Aemilianus.
Aemilianus.
Africanus Numantinus.
When was he born?
185 through 129 BC.
Go ahead.
Primarily known as Scipio Aemilianus, or also Scipio Africanus Minor, or Scipio Africanus the Younger.
That boy got a whole bunch of nicknames. Go ahead.
Was an important politician and general of the Roman Republic.
Go ahead.
Who served as consul twice in 147 and 134 BC.
Go ahead.
In 147 BC, he took over the command of the Third Punic War.
Third Punic War. Why didn't you go over that back when you was talking about? Because it fits right now. That's why. Go ahead.
149 through 146 BC. And besieged and destroyed Carthage.
Yes.
In 134 BC, he took over the Numantian War. 143 through 133 BC, restored the discipline of the Roman army and defeated
Numantia. So this is Scipio Africanus. Roman general. Scipio Africanus the Younger. Yeah. Scipio Africanus the Minor.
That boy had all them names, man.
So Scipio Africanus is where you get Africa from. That northern part of Africa where the Vandals, where the Nabateans, where northern Libya, right? The Romans went backwards west and then conquered Spain and came around the northern tip of Africa and conquered before they came against the Greeks.
Right.
And you remember they absorbed all the citizens of every place they conquered into their armies. That's how they made their armies bigger, kind of like the Americas, right?
Right.
Let's keep going. American. So we got Africanus. Sit that down. Now, America, go ahead.
American, 1570s. Originally, one of the Aboriginal peoples discovered in the Western Hemisphere by Europeans.
Wait a minute. So Europeans came and discovered Americans. Europeans didn't come over and be Americans, but they're saying that the original Aboriginal peoples, you remember who Giovanni Ferrazzano said he found over here? He found angular face colored people, and he found brown colored people with woolly afros that looked like Ethiopians.
Yeah. They had
Not-
big broad chest.
not Ethiopians, but look like Ethiopians in America.
That's right.
So-called America.
That's
But
right.
they weren't calling it America when the Europeans came. The Europeans came and they called it America.
Mm-hmm.
But the people they found there, they found angular face, brown people, copper colored people, and then they found brown colored, woolly haired people, broad shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron James people walking around.
Yeah, flat noses and big protruding lips.
Big protruding lips. Those Negroes
Yeah,
that are not Hamitic people.
right.
Tied together, I'm just throwing the breadcrumbs. Go ahead.
From Martin Latin, Americanus.
Oh, we got Afrikaners, Americaners. Go ahead.
From America, QV. The original sense is now Native Americans. The sense of resident of North America, of European, originally British descent, is from 1765.
Man, read that right from the original, brother. Read that again.
The original sense is now Native American.
So the Aboriginal people that they found, they called them Native Americans. Go ahead.
The sense of resident of North America, of European.
Now the Europeans are calling themselves, but originally it was those Aboriginal people.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Pilgrims came, they were Europeans.
Right.
We're from the Netherlands. We're from Great Britain. We're from Ireland. We're from wherever, right? Now, once they removed the native Aboriginal people, they just called those the natives to America, but we are now the real Americans
Yeah.
of European descent. So what do they call the slaves? Next slide. So the next slide in Noah's Webster's dictionary says it a little bit cleaner. 1828. Start at the third American.
American, a noun, a native of America.
Yeah.
Originally applied to the Aboriginals or copper-colored races.
Copper-colored races. Y'all remember that? Copper-colored races. Pastor Johnny look black or copper? Oh, that probably hurt somebody's mind right there. Do I look black like this remote, or do I look more like copper if you can see it on the screen? Or take a penny out of your pocket. Go ahead.
Found here by the Europeans.
So these Aboriginals found these copper-colored people who Giovanni de Verrazano put them into two classifications of people that he found when he pulled up on that ship. Two type of people was holding spears and shooting arrows. Because they wasn't like, hey, come and dwell with us. Have some cake. You want some deer? You want some corn? I'm sure they wasn't like that at first. Found here by the Europeans. Go ahead.
But now applied.
But, say that, but go ahead. That wasn't on this etymology definition.
Yeah.
That's what they left off. But now in Webster's they put, but, go ahead.
Now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America.
So what happened to the Aboriginals? They called them Native Americans.
Yeah, man.
Right? Drop that. Let's keep going. 2 slides down. American.
American, 1590s, pertaining to the Western Hemisphere, its Aboriginal inhabitants, from modern Latin, Americanus, from America. The sense of pertaining to the residents of North America of European, originally British, descent is first recorded in 1640.
So the Spanish didn't call themselves Americans?
Nope.
The French didn't call themselves American? The Dutch wasn't calling themselves American? But these English settlers were calling themselves the true Americans.
Yeah.
What happened to the Aboriginal people? Well, you'll learn through all of their Thanksgiving days, they slaughtered them. You go back to around Thanksgiving time and watch my lesson, you'll see that they slaughtered these Aborigines and took those lands and took those houses where they were at and built their cities, which you now live in today.
Yeah.
All across the Americas, these cities were places where the Aboriginals already existed. Go ahead.
Later pertaining to the United States.
And then they adopted their declarations and called them the United States of the Americas. What about the Confederation of America that was before that? Go ahead.
French, Americain. Spanish and Italian Americano,
Oh, okay.
German Amerikanisch, film, form, Americanacity. From 1838, The American Beauty, rose so-called from 1886.
You could drop that. We got the point. So let's go to this next slide. Y'all ever heard of Amerigo Vespucci? So we already know African was named after Amerigo Vespucci. Scipio Africanus, the younger.
The younger.
So
I'm the elder.
read that about Amerigo Vespucci, brother.
Amerigo Vespucci. Amerigo Vespucci was an Italian explorer, financier, navigator, and cartographer from the Republic of Florence.
So he did maps too.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Sailing from Portugal around 1501 through 1502. Vespucci demonstrated that Brazil and the West Indies were not Asia's eastern outskirts, but a separate continent.
What year was this?
1501 through 1502.
So they didn't find out that South America was not the eastern edge of Asia until 15 what?
1501 through 1502.
So the Europeans, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the British, the Dutch, the French, none of these Europeans knew about South, Central, and North America. Mm-hmm. When they got to the Americas, they thought they were in Asia. When Christopher Columbus hit it, he thought he was in India. Mm-hmm. But you can't go away from the sun or toward the sun and not know your directions.
Right. Right.
Hey, we're not gonna play no games like you don't know the sun rising in the east and setting in the west.
Right.
He had to know he was going west.
He had to know.
Go ahead.
Vespucci demonstrated that Brazil and the West Indies were not Asia's eastern outskirts, but a separate continent described as the New World. Italian explorer Amerigo Vespucci is best known for his namesake, the continents of North and South America. But why were these continents named after him?
Whoa, stop. Read that again.
But why were
No. Go on back to the end of that sentence. They might have missed that. You ran that sentence together.
Oh, I'm sorry. The continents of North and South America.
Read that before that. Why you read that?
Italian explorer Amerigo Vespucci.
There you go.
Is best known for his namesake.
He's known for this. Why are they not teaching us that in history class? They teach you about Christopher Columbus. He got a whole holiday. But Amerigo Vespucci is best known for what?
His namesake.
His namesake. And what's that?
The continents of North and South America.
Did y'all know that North and South America is named after Amerigo Vespucci? He's known for it. He's just not known to the slave class of people. Yeah. He's just not known to the aboriginals that were wiped out and their land was taken. Or he wasn't known by that for those Africans that was brought from Africa and then called African Americans. He wasn't known by those people that were called Africans brought over on the slave ship. Mm-hmm. They don't know nothing about Amerigo Vespucci. Go ahead.
But why were these continents named after him? Especially since his voyages happened after Christopher Columbus.
So he voyaged after Christopher Columbus, who sailed the ocean blue in 1492. But why aren't they talking about Amerigo Vespucci? Mm-hmm. They know, but we don't know.
Right.
Go ahead.
Famed 1492, sailed on the ocean blue.
Man.
Vespucci was the first person to recognize North and South America as distinct continents that were previously unknown to Europeans.
Did I say that, or did the historians know that? They're saying they never knew about North, Central, and South America. But was it really new? There was already people here. It was just new to them because they didn't know that there were colored people in a Western hemisphere of the world. They just thought if they went west, they was either falling off the map or they was going to run into East Asia. They didn't know anything about these colored nations of people in the so-called New World.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
That were previously unknown to Europeans, Asians, and Africans. Prior to Vespucci's discovery, explorers including Columbus had assumed that the New World was part of Asia. Vespucci made his discovery while sailing near the tip of South America in 1501.
Yeah.
In the 15th century, Europe, Asia, and Africa was at the epicenter of a global exchange of goods. Also for Europeans, curiosities of different cultures continue to emerge.
Yeah.
This Afro-Eurasian economy created an interwoven connection between India, China, the Middle East, Africa, and Europe.
See, that's all they knew. All they knew was the Silk Road coming across the Caspian and the Dead Sea by land, or they was cutting through what is now known as the Middle East. They built that Suez Canal to come through the Indian Ocean to go back to China, and that is for all the history of what you've known in the Bible and everything they've ever taught us. That was the old world. That's all they knew is Europe coming all the way down into Africa, moving all the way through the Indian Ocean, back to China, up through Russia. That's all they ever knew. They never, until 1540, the Asians, the Europeans, and Africans never knew. That ain't true about Africa, though. I don't know why they put that in there. They didn't want to make the Africans, so-called Africans, know more than them.
Right.
But the dark races were already coming here well before. You could just read about Mansa Musa and know that they were coming into the New World 1,000 years before that time, right? But that was the old world, and he's talking about the Silk Road and the exchange of goods and services that came up through that timeline, right? That's what they knew, right? The Europeans was coming all the way across, studying with the Ethiopians, studying with the Indians, all the way up through Genghis Khan, through the Chinese. They kept sending all of their cartographers and their so-called wise men to learn the languages and learn the cultures. And they wrote all these books about it. But none of them was writing about, and none of them knew about the New World, which had all these colored people, all of these indigenous, aboriginal, autochthonous people. They didn't know about them until 1540. Amerigo Vespucci did a lot of cartograph work, and he was famous for revealing that you could get to the Pacific Ocean from the Atlantic side. Then the race was, how can we get from the Atlantic to the Gulf to the Pacific without going around South America?
Yeah.
And that's why you have the Panama Canal.
Panama Canal, which the U.S. went
To get you from the Gulf to the Pacific side in a trade route straight to Asia or to the west coast of Americas without going around South America. Go ahead.
Spurred by curiosity and economic incentive, explorers traveled distances that were great feats for their day.
So they had to load up with more cars. We got to figure out how far we can go past South America. How far can we go up? That's when you started to see western sides of the Americas, and then you started seeing them get into the Polynesian islands, and now they're back in Asia. Then they get a whole idea of the full totality of the earth. Go ahead.
But what makes the time period so important, said Cosme, was the role it played in shaping the world that we know today.
See, they was like, boom. Now you can start to see the whole rush, why we need these papal bulls, why we need to go over there. And you know how they did the gold rush when they got into the Americas? That's that whole manifest destiny where they were looking for gold, they were looking for cities, they was looking for artifacts. Everybody was looking for natural resources. The race is on. We got new land. Now everybody want to expand, right? Because at this time you got wars going on with the Arabs. You got them running from the Genghis Khan and all the Kongs. You got all those wars going on. And hey, you Europeans was like, we trying to get out. Because everything south of us is Arab and everything east of us is Genghis Khan and the Indians, right? India, right? You got all of India empires. You got all the Genghis Khan and all those wars going on for all those years. And down south is Ham, right? You got the Mali and the Songhai empires. You got all these places occupied. And now we found out there's new land. Hey, let's get our stuff together. We need to get our paperwork together, get our money together. Huh? We need to go over there and see what we can take.
Yeah.
We need land. We need to expand, right? Who's going to control this? Controls the world.
Yes, sir.
And at this time, Europe was just this little old bitty corner. They just, Spain, France, Germany, they just, because they was blocked in by Russia.
Mm-hmm.
They was all locked in. Russia, then you got Spain, Greece, Turkey, Asia Minor, and then below that you got the Moroccan Empire and Africa. Man, let's get up out of here. We need to get some land, brother. Is that it?
Sir. Just the last
Finish
sentence
it.
says, recognizing the Americas was a major part of that understanding.
Boom, we got to go get it. So, America Vespucci, Scipio Africanus. Let's go to the next slide. So why are you calling yourself African American? Why are you calling yourself black? Why would you call yourself Negro?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
African American, meaning African American.
Which one? You got African American vernacular? It should be one
Yeah.
right after Scipio.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Slide back.
That's what's after American Vespucci.
Meaning?
African American, meaning African
Yeah,
American vernacular.
Yeah. Do that one. That was the one next.
That's what I was reading.
Oh, go ahead. I thought I heard you say something.
No, I
Go
said
ahead.
African American, meaning.
Oh, you reading the title.
Yeah.
Hey,
African American vernacular.
go ahead.
The English language as spoken by U.S. blacks is from 1704. French,
Wait a
Negre.
minute. Wait a minute. Why African Americans, why are we speaking in English since 1704? You mean we wasn't speaking before 1704? We weren't speaking, what if we weren't speaking English between 1704? I just caught that. I just jumped
Yeah,
in.
it's like-
What was we saying before
I just said the same
1704?
thing. I said the same thing in my head, like, what? Hebrew, Yasharala, Yahweh, Yahweh.
Y'all hear me? What was we speaking before 1704 if we wasn't speaking English? Go ahead.
French, Negre, is a 16th century browning from Spanish Negro. Borrowing, I'm sorry. From Spanish.
French said negre.
Uh-huh.
The Spanish said negro.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
A Middle English word for Ethiopian. Perhaps also a Negro generally was blue man or blue man.
Blue man. Blue man.
Blue man.
I'm just wondering in the 16th century, 1700, did they call that whole continent of Africa Ethiopia?
Seemed like they was very familiar with them Ethiopians.
You know, because Ethiopia just means color.
Just colored, yeah.
You can look up in Google Maps right now and say, and look up Ethiopian map, and it's going to
Don't
show
bring
you the
up
whole
people.
continent of so-called Africa.
Yeah.
That's why De Verrazano came over here and said these people look like Ethiopians.
Right.
They look like they come from that land of Ethiopia. Not Africa.
Right.
African American vernacular. So African American is a vernacular in the English language as spoken by U.S. blacks in the 1704. They say in the 1704 we start calling ourselves African American.
We wouldn't have known that unless it was given to us to call each other.
Go to the next slide. Let's continue. African American.
African American, there are isolated instances from the late 18th and early 19th centuries, but the modern use is a reinvention.
Is a what?
Reinvention.
African American is a reinvention. Amerigo Vespucci, Scipio Africanus. Where are you from, Negro? Colored man, black man. Where are you from, blue man? Swarthy man, wicked, bad, unlucky.
Blue man.
Can you take whatever you call yourself to the United Nations and get any kind of humanitarian help?
No, sir.
Calling yourself any of that. You go up to the United Nations, I'm an African American. Which are you? If you're an American, what tribe you from? If you're an African, what country you from? That is a catch-22. That's a conundrum.
That is so.
Huh? If you're an American, what Aboriginal tribe are you from, copper-colored man? And if you're from Africa, out of the nations that they cut up, which nation are you from in Africa? And which tribe in that nation claims you? Go ahead.
But the modern use is a reinvention first attested in 1969.
1969.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead.
In reference to the African American Teachers Association,
Wasn't that in the middle of the civil rights?
That's right.
Civil rights means nothing. You want human rights. You don't want civil rights. I want human rights. Civil rights come up under this United States system of colonized slavery, which gives you nothing, black man, Negro man. You get nothing, African man, African American. Under this civil system of the United States, you get nothing. You don't get no rights. You want to find out who your nation of people is and claim human rights, then you could go to the UN and say something. Until then, you are still a slave. Go ahead.
Which became the preferred term in some circles for U.S. blacks.
What U.S. blacks? Man, these wealthy people that's high up, man, they playing games. They know we need to connect back to our national tribe to even have any UN help. Why do they keep selling us out, renaming us under these derogatory bywords and taunts?
Mm-hmm.
What circle of blacks? Because Washington ain't alive at this time.
Mm-mm.
Who was our blacks that was in power in the 1969s that kept us labeled as black people? Don't say it. Go ahead.
Noun or adjective by the late 1980s.
Yeah.
See African plus American. Mencken, 1921, reports Afro-American is now very commonly used in the Negro.
I ain't never heard nobody say Afro-American.
Yeah, they say Afro-American.
Afro with an A. Go ahead.
Yeah. Afro-American is attested in 1853 in Freeman's publication in Canada.
Remember that word, Freeman's. Go ahead.
Africo-American.
I never heard that. Africo, I don't know what that is.
1817 as a noun. 1826 as an adjective was common in abolitionist and colonization society writings.
Oh, so the abolitionist was using Africo. Next slide. Write that down. Check this out. Same thing Booker T. Washington did. Read the screen first.
In 1988, Reverend Jesse Jackson convinced America's black population.
Read it from the top again.
In 1988. 1988.
Yes.
I was just, 6 years old.
Booker T. Washington.
Reverend Jesse
Booker T.
Jackson.
Washington.
Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Booker T. Washington
Reverend Jesse Jackson.
did what?
Convinced.
He convinced, like Booker T. Washington said, hey, in my writings and when I talk about my racial people, I say, we Negroes. Here go Jesse Jackson. Hey, guys, you know I was with Martin Luther King.
Yeah, he sold him out.
Let us start calling ourselves no more colored,
Yeah.
no more black,
Nonviolent.
no more Negro.
Nonviolent.
Let's call ourselves what?
African American.
Jesse Jackson did that.
Yes.
Do you think Jesse Jackson, in all his wisdom from Chicago, knew about Scipio Africanus
No.
and Amerigo Vespucci?
No, not a clue.
So what kind of wisdom is Reverend Rainbow Coalition, what knowledge is he coming from? Where did he get this from? What meet did he go to where they said, hey, I think you Negroes should call yourselves African American? Because black ain't got us no rights. That whole civil rights movement is come and gone, and what's different?
No.
Black and proud come and gone, what happened?
Nothing.
James Brown made a song.
Mm-hmm.
The Panthers came and gone, what's different?
Nothing.
But Reverend, because he's a reverend, and he marched with Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Convinced the population to...
Sorry, it stuck.
It has stuck for 24 years.
So from 1988 to when this article was written in 24 years later, what did it say after that? It stuck around.
Stuck around.
Huh? They was coming right off that civil rights movement, right around the 80s, right when that civil rights, that might have been around, he was running for presidency. Well, so he used his platform, hey, we no more blacks, we no more niggas, we African American. Boy, that's why he didn't get elected. That's why he didn't get elected. He tried to give us a whole new change.
They sold him a dream.
This is your dream, to
be an African American. Be proud of it. It worked for 24 years. Go ahead.
But in recent months, a significant number of African Americans have been clamoring to drop the African and go back to just black.
Man, our leaders unlearn. I don't want to be African American. I'm gonna go back to black. I want to be swarthy blue, man. Wicked.
I just want to
unlearn.
be wicked.
I mean, we
and
learn
bad
it. We learn
and
it.
unlucky.
But there's a whole nother English, French, Spanish definition behind the words that we know. Man. We truly don't know what words mean. So he brought this out. He ran for his campaign. He didn't get elected. You know, bless his heart. And it stuck around for 24 years. They added it into their school book curriculum, right? We grew up thinking we was African Americans, put it on our job applications, and you know what? We ain't either or. We either or we or, but we can't be both. That's confusion. Read that, what you got on that paper?
From Negro to black to African American, the power of names and naming, written by Ben L. Martin.
All right, go ahead and read this article.
In a December 1988 news conference at Chicago's Hyatt Regency Hotel, O'Hare Hotel,
This brother got an epiphany. Holy Spirit came to him. Go ahead.
where leaders of 75 black groups met to discuss a new national black agenda.
He wasn't by himself?
No.
77 groups. 77 groups of who? Who is these black leaders that be going up, meet with the president? Who nominated them? Who do they represent? Do you know? Do you know who represents you in your city and in your town? Do you know they be having meetings where they try to change what people call them and how people represent them? Whether or not we need represent, have they tried to get us to stop being 3/5 of a person yet? Have they got us to stop having to keep applying for voter registration? You know they keep applying for that. That has a deadline. You know they got to keep reinstating your right to vote. Who are these 77 people? Are they all clergy? Who are these important black people? Go ahead.
Jesse Jackson announced that members of their race preferred to be called African American.
What members? Where Jesse Jackson find these people at? You just get up there and say whatever you want because you have the platform.
Yeah.
Where is these people at? Did he represent the South? He wasn't from the South. I bet he didn't even campaign that much in the South. Where he meet these black people at that said, okay, yes, sir, you call us African American, whatever you say, fancy black man from up north. That boy went down in the South finding nobody. And who represents the people down in the South? People, scared people that know they gotta live in the South.
Mm-hmm.
And they gonna go on or get on. They just like the power over the other blacks. That's the game. Go ahead.
The campaign he then led to replace the term black met immediate success among African American opinion makers and more gradual acceptance in the national press.
Who are the opinion makers? Did you know there's colored people around that make opinions for you? You know all them people on CNN and all them people on Fox, and everybody keep using the same people on the shows to represent them? Who are these people? Where did they come from? What book did they write? What college did they go to? Who are they representing? Go ahead.
Jackson's cultural offensive proposed an ethnic reference for a racial one, aiming thereby to help create as much as express a sense of ethnic identity among black Americans.
So the goal was to express ethnic identity with both nations. You could drop that.
Hard to do, man.
You could drop that. His goal was to establish an ethnic identity. So you could say before that, there was no ethnic identity.
There was no ethnic identity.
And since then, there
ain't.
still has been no truth brought to the national identity of these so-called Negroes here in America. Give me Jeremiah 17:4. Let's tie some scriptures to all this information we just read. We went through a whole bunch of slides. Feel like time stopped.
I pray you've been edified, sisters and brothers. Jeremiah 17:4. Let's go, man. Let's fly through these scriptures real quick.
I'm ready, brother.
Verse 4, go ahead.
And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I have gave thee.
Who is Jeremiah? What are he talking about? Who is thyself? Who is this? This is talking about Israel. But what happened? They didn't hearken into the law, statutes, and commandments. Those people surnamed after him. Yasharallah, right? They did not hearken to his commandments. Therefore, bywords, proverbs, it was more happened to them in Deuteronomy. But it's because of their disobedience, they have now been discontinued from their heritage. Go ahead.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest.
Wait a minute. Read it again.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
Wait a minute. We ain't in Jerusalem no more? We're not in Israel. We don't even know who we are. But because of that disobedience, we discontinued from our heritage, and now we're in a land that we don't know. We don't know these people. We don't know their language. Go ahead.
For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
Don't get it twisted. The Most High did this to his elect, his chosen, because they would not obey. So let's look at the definition of heritage. Let's get some understanding of heritage from Strong's and from Webster. Go ahead, read the Strong's definition of heritage.
Halal, from H 5157, in its usual sense, properly, something inherited.
Something inherited.
Abstractly, occupancy, or concretely, an heirloom.
Heirloom, go ahead.
Generally an estate, patrimony, or portion heritage. To inherit inheritance, possession, compare H 5158.
So Yasharallah would discontinue from thine heritage that the Most High gave them. What does Strong say? Webster's.
Property that descends to an heir.
So he didn't only give them his surname, he gave them everything that they acquired.
Yeah.
They were his heritage, so he chose them out of all people. You are my heritage.
Yes.
My commandments I give to you as a heritage.
Right.
If you obey them, you winning.
Yeah.
You disobey, you losing. And I also gave you land out of all land on the face of the earth. I tried to give you the garden. We lost that. But then I reestablished my heritage through a people, gave them my commandments, and I gave them a land as inheritance. Let's prove it. Let's go to Joel 2 and look at the people of Yasharallah as his heritage, as the heritage of the Most High. Joel 2, verse 16 and 17. Joel 2, verse 16 and 17. Go ahead when you get it.
1 second, Pastor. All right. Gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders,
Right.
gather the children, and those that suck the breast. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and let the bride out of her closet.
Go ahead.
Let the priests, the ministers of the Lord, weep between the porch and the altar, and let them say, spare thy people,
Spare thy people.
O Lord, and give not thine heritage to the reproach, that the heathen should rule over them.
Over what? His heritage. The people. Yasharallah. Go ahead.
Wherefore should they say among the people, where is their God?
That's what we saying right now. If you don't they say that? If you the chosen people of God, well, where you at the ghetto? Why can't you call on him? Where he at? Where your God at? We the heritage. But right now we have discontinued from our heritage. We are no longer those people plucked out as a peculiar people, as a chosen, as the elect. We are no longer as a nation abiding by the commandments of the Most High. Let's look at that. Let's get the Apocrypha, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 24, or the book of Sirach, 24. We're going to read verse 23. The commandments were given as a heritage. What did we say heritage was? It was an inherited heirloom, an inheritance, a possession. We are his possession. The commandments he gave to us as a possession. He gave us the land as our inheritance. Ecclesiasticus 24, verse 23.
All these things are the book of the covenant.
The book of the covenant, go ahead.
Of the Most High God.
Uh-huh.
Even the law which Moses commanded for an heritage.
He commanded it for a what?
An heritage.
For a portion. For the children of Yasharallah. He got it from the Most High, and the Most High told him to give it to the people. The people are inheritance out of all, it's the Most High's possession out of all the nations on the earth. He gave those people the covenant and the law. Moses commanded it for an inheritance, for a heritage, go ahead.
Unto the congregations of Jacob.
We know Jacob is Yasharallah, the surname. Jacob was given a new name from the Most High. So the people are in heritage. The commandments are in heritage. Let's go to Psalms 111. And let's see that the land that we are no longer in, the land is going through its Sabbaths right now because the people aren't there. The people aren't there. The temple aren't there. The commandments aren't there. The Most High is not there. Why? Because Yasharallah has discontinued from its heritage. Psalms 111, verse 5 through 7. Go ahead.
He hath given meat unto them that fear him.
Uh-huh.
He will ever be mindful of his covenant. He hath showed his people the power of his works, that he may give them the heritage of the heathen.
Man, what was the works all through the scriptures that it talks about? What evidence did he show Yasharallah that I am your Elohim? I am there for you. What he keeps saying? I brought you out of the land of Israel. Egypt. I gave you this land of the Canaanites flowing with milk and honey as your heritage, right? I removed this people for you. No one that came before you could beat you in battle. What else does he need to show you? How much redemptive power does he need to keep showing his chosen people? Go ahead.
The works of his hands are verity and judgment. And his commandments are sure.
Man, he said, what I gave you as a heritage, the land of the heathens. That was our inheritance. That was our heritage. The land from the heathens. Where are we at now? Everywhere. We're in the ends of the earth. Disinherited. Right? Let's go, drop that. Let's go to Psalms 135. Psalms 135. Verse 12 when you get it.
And gave their land for an heritage.
Gave what?
Their land for an heritage. And heritage unto Israel, his people.
A land from the heathens to Yasharallah. But we have discontinued from our heritage because of disobedience. We ain't in the land no more. People don't know how to keep the law, statutes, and commandments no more. And they don't know that they are his people given his surname anymore. Y'all follow that? Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 7. It was easy for the others to carry us away. It wasn't that hard. Just look for the people that are discontinued and that have been kicked out of their land. Who kicked them out of their land? Who was the final people to kick them out? The Romans in 70 A.D. Emperor Vespasian, he sent his son Titus. Israel was no longer a nation. Jeremiah 2, verse 7. Go ahead when you find it.
And I brought you into a plentiful country to eat the fruit thereof and the goodness thereof.
Yes.
But you were
What?
entered.
Wait. There go that word, but. We keep seeing that word, but. I gave you and brought you in the land flowing with milk and honey. I removed the heathens and gave you land, sustenance, everything you would want. But, go ahead.
But when ye entered,
Uh-huh.
ye defiled my land.
You did what?
You defiled my land
Go ahead.
and made my inheritance an abomination.
The land is an abomination. I did all that work to give you the land. Then you defiled my commandments, which defiled you, and all of it has been discontinued until this day, 2020. Psalms chapter 2. Let's keep going. That's what happened, sisters and brothers. Yasharallah has discontinued from his heritage. They don't know they're the people. They don't know about the commandments. And they don't know where they're from. Psalms chapter 2, verse 1 through 3. Go ahead.
Why do the heathen rage?
Now the heathen rage. Why? We got our land back. We got land we never had back. Hey, we found this new world. We got that too. We kicked them people out of there too. Go ahead.
And the people imagine the vain things.
Hey, man, we got all these inquisitions. We got all these torture tactics. Well, we're going to go around and hang them, burn them from crosses. We're going to cut their toenails off. We're going to put them under the Judah torture. Hey, I should have brought all those. I ain't bring none of that out this year. We done got all these ways of making people either convert to Vicar of Christ or Serapis Christus or die. We got all kind of tortures we can do to people. Go ahead.
The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed.
Against Yahweh and his chosen people, Yasharallah. Saying what?
Let us break their bands asunder.
Let's help keep them being discontinued from their heritage. Go ahead.
And cast away their cords from us.
Let's cast them away. Let's not ever let them know who they are, where they're from, and what they're supposed to be obedient to. Right? Next slide. Let's look at the major player that had to do with North America. Because, Queen Isabella and all the Spanish, they really had reign over the islands in South and Central America, right? But really, we dealing with the kings of the Northern European world. We really dealing with King James I. Go ahead.
King James I of England. King James IV of Scotland.
Yeah.
Approved the Virginia Company of London to establish a colony in the New World
When?
In 1627.
You see, they hadn't even made up their mind to come over here in 1619 when some 20-some-odd Negroes landed. Hey, they still hadn't even got their money together to come over here. So who was slaving from 1627 all the way back to 1492? Spanish. The Spanish by a papal bull from the Pope. Go ahead.
Refused requests in 1607.
So this Virginia company wanted to go in 1607 because they already had pilgrims sneaking around, Nova Scotia coming through Massachusetts. They was already in battles and skirmishes, right? They had already came in and stole some people and stole some stuff and came back. And why did he say no in 1607? Why? Because he was finishing up the Bible. Whoa. I was going to read that, but I didn't bring my Zondervan over here. Let's go to the next slide. Go ahead.
King James I. As early as 1618, King James I had granted a patent to a company that wanted to trade for gold and precious woods in Africa.
So they was trying to get a patent to go down into Africa, right? For gold. Go ahead.
Other groups also received rights to trade in Africa, but never dealt with slaves in any major way.
Right.
English involvement in the slave trade would intensify after 1663.
So England, even though they had the patents, they didn't really get into the slave trading into the Americas until 1663, because from 1627 to 1623, they were bringing Aboriginal Americas into England. Hello? They were bringing the people of the Americas into England. So they didn't get into the slavery business, taking people to Americas.
until 1663. So history says. Go ahead.
When a new patent was issued to the Company of Royal Adventures, England had realized the money to be made trading slaves to the West Indies and Virginia. By 1668, over a quarter of the new company's profits was derived from the slave trade.
So why was they needing to get into the slave trade? Because all of the crops that they were finding over there, they needed the people to work them because they were slaughtering and abolishing the natives of their land. If they hadn't already removed them into Europe, they started saying, man, we need manpower because we don't got no manpower over there. We ain't got no people that know how to grow tobacco, cotton, corn. We don't have nobody that know how to maintain the food that we are growing over there, right? Go to the next slide.
Navigation Act of 1660. At first, trading directly with with other European countries was common in Virginia. But the Navigation Act of 1660 brought such relations to a close.
So they stopped dealing with Spain, Spain, who else was there? French, the Dutch, whoever was trying to come into the ports in Virginia. At 1660, they stopped that. They put a halt to it. No more. Go ahead.
Only English-owned ships could enter colonial ports. The Crown had realized the wealth that could be achieved through the trade and wanted that wealth of England. Once the Navigation Act was passed, Virginia planters were forced to rely on the mother country to supply them with their labor force.
So all the way in England, now that's where the money came from to get all these so-called pilgrims in. And now that they're starting to set up these colonies, now in 1660, they passed the Navigation Act, which now England is their sole contributor of slave bodies. What year is this?
That was in
1619.
Yeah.
No,
that was
1660.
1660, yeah.
So where did these 19 some odd 20 Negroes come from? Let's keep going. We're going to get into it. Go ahead.
To address this dearth, the Royal African Company was formed in 1672.
We need to form this new company and get some investors. We need to go get these bodies.
Yeah, man.
So they formed the Royal African Company in 1672. Next slide.
The Royal African Company. Merchants in London associated with the residents of Jamestown were also heavily involved in the slave trade.
Merchants?
Yeah.
So you got regular business people, governmental people. Everybody's getting in on this game, right? Everybody's trying to get in on this new money game, which is the movement of bodies. Go ahead.
John Jeffries, one of these merchants, owned part of the row house in Newtown. And historians speculate that slaves were sold in front of the building on a wharf.
Yeah.
The Royal African Company also had agents in Virginia to whom slaves were delivered.
Yes.
These agents received a 7% commission on sales.
Hey, they weren't selling books. They weren't selling vacuums. They weren't selling knives or magazines. They were selling people. Huh? Let's skip that on that board. All right, I got Mike. I got 10 slaves this week. Johnny, you got 12. A winner for the month. Brother Thomas, 20 Negroes, 7%. Hey, he rolling in the dough. What, he selling cars? Go ahead.
John Page, Colonel Nathaniel Bacon, and William Sherwood were all prominent Virginians who served as factors, agents, or representatives for the company.
So King James went ahead and sanctioned it. Now you see in the Royal Navigation Act, the Navigation Act of 1660, the Royal African Company was involved. You also had the adventurers were involved, was the name used. So let's get into this then. What's going on with this slide here? Read the placard that's up right there.
Read the placard first.
That everybody knows in history about the 20-some-odd Negroes. Go ahead.
All right. First Africans in English America.
No. The slide with the sign.
That's it.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The first documented Africans in English America arrived at Jamestown in August 1619.
Okay.
A Dutch man of war captured them from the Spanish, who had enslaved them and sold them to the Virginia colonists. The 20 and odd Africans, some of whom had been given Spanish names, may have been treated like indentured servants. And
They was treated like chattel servants.
indentured servants.
Because you know a lot of these 20 some odd Negroes actually became free and got land, and their families are still known to this day. Go ahead.
And later freed after their periods of servitude expired. From this beginning, the institution of slavery evolved during the 17th century as the Virginia colonists extended the length of service for Africans from a fixed term to life.
To life. Y'all hear that? That's on that sign right there. Go ahead.
The United States abolished slavery in 1865.
Yeah, right. All right, now read the slide, brother.
Sal Bautista, bound for Mexico.
Yep.
They were stolen by the White Lion and another English ship, the Treasurer.
So the Sal Bautista was a Spanish ship that was cornered by the White Lion and the Treasurer. So we got out in open sea. We got 2 to 1 ship.
Yeah.
We got a skirmish going on, and the Sal Bautista is outgunned and outshipped. Go ahead.
Working as a consort, the 2 ships attacked the Sal Bautista late in July, early in August 1619, and apparently robbed Decunha of about 50 of its African slaves. A large portion of the ship's Africans, perhaps as many as 150, probably died during the Atlantic crossing.
Next slide is just a picture of a Spanish slave ship, which would have been attacked by the White Lion and the Treasurer. Go ahead.
Sal Bautista. Sometime in 1619, the Portuguese slave ship Sal Bautista left the port of Sao Paulo de Lunda, a Portuguese military outpost in West Central Africa, and sailed for Veracruz.
So it left Africa, headed for Veracruz, Mexico. Go ahead.
New Spain, present-day Mexico, the captain Manuel Mendez de Cajuna carried with him 350 enslaved Africans.
So Sal Bautista had 350 at the start. Go ahead.
200 of whom had embarked under a license or assisto held by investors in Seville to sell them in New Spain.
So he dropped off 200 in New Spain, and that's why it was 150 when the White Lion and the Treasurer hijacked him. Right? That was it?
Yeah.
All right, next slide. Go ahead.
1619.
Now watch this discrepancy from the sign. Go ahead.
In August of 1619, John Rolfe, widower of Pocahontas, was at Point Comfort, and on this fateful day...
No, he was at Jamestown.
He was at Point Comfort.
He was in Jamestown.
It's at Point Comfort.
The sign said the 20-odd Negroes was in Jamestown.
Well, this story say he was at Point Comfort.
Okay, which is now Hampton, Virginia. Is Jamestown Hampton?
Nope.
We got some discrepancies here. Go ahead.
On this fateful day, and he wrote in his diary.
So this is in John Rolfe's diary. Is John Rolfe right, or whoever made this sign right?
John Rolfe has got to be right.
Well, let's listen to his diary. Go ahead. What'd he say?
About the latter end of August, an English ship flying a Dutch flag on the burden of 160 tons arrived at Point Comfort.
It was an English ship with a Dutch flag. Go ahead.
The commander's name was Captain Colin Jop. He brought not anything but 20 and odd Negroes.
Where'd you get them from? Go ahead.
Negroes, I'm sorry.
Oh, he said Negars. Go ahead. He put an R.
Negars.
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 You still black. You still wicked. You
still a nigga.
Yeah, you still a nigga. Go ahead.
In the memories of Captain John Colin Jope,
Memoirs. Go ahead.
Memoirs, captain of White Lion, he wrote in his journal that he unloaded the 20 and odd Negroes at Point Comfort.
Jamestown.
Point Comfort. And one of them was named Antonio.
He even gave somebody's name.
Antonio.
Antonio. Go ahead.
Who he captured from the Bautista.
He took it from the Bautista, but I thought they landed in Jamestown. What they telling us in school? Go ahead.
Lies. Africans are the only ethnic group brought to America in chains and against their will.
What Africans? What we learned in part 4?
Where did they come from?
Yeah, where did they come from?
It wasn't all of Africa.
Right. It wasn't no
It wasn't the
Zulus.
Zulus. It wasn't the
You know what I'm saying?
Congolese. It wasn't no
Congolese,
Ethiopians.
wasn't no
These are
Ethiopians.
specific Africans. Look at this. It said the top tribes taken was the Chamba from North Nigeria, Cameroon. Go ahead.
The Wolof, Senegal, Gambia, the Mauritanian,
Uh-huh.
the Armangana, Fulani, Singal, Mali, Nigeria, etc.
Go ahead.
The Mande, the Mandika, the Mandingo,
Uh-huh.
Fun, Southwest Nigeria, Tonga female warriors, Voodoo,
Go ahead.
Bankongo,
Uh-huh.
Bantu,
Bantu. They got that Judah.
the Congo in Central Africa,
Uh-huh.
Igbo,
Igbo.
Nigeria,
Uh-huh.
and Urabo, Nigeria, Benin, and the Mbundi, Angola, Kawade.
You know, the funny thing I learned in my research is when they did the transcripts of the slaves that they brought from Africa, they never used the word Africa.
They did.
They told you exactly where these slaves came from.
Yeah, they gave you the exact name.
The exact name.
That's crazy.
I got 2 Mandingas.
Yeah.
I got 2 Bantu males.
I got 2 Nwandi.
Yeah, I'm very specific. I got 3 Igbos. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, they knew exactly where these people came from, and the Spanish was very detailed.
It seems like somebody should have said I got 150 niggas.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
they just-
somebody should have said it.
No,
They
just
keep it count.
20 and some odd Negroes.
It's 20
or
and some odd
Negars.
Negroes.
But the real transcripts say where these people are from, is my point.
Man,
Huh? The people that carried us away was very crafty in just labeling everybody under the banner of African.
right.
And then the slaves that they made from the Aborigines, they called them Indians. And then we're going to get into it in part 6. We're going to see that they called the Indians and these Africans all black.
That's crazy, man.
Man, let's keep going. Let's see what else we got. Oh, these are just stats, brother. We could just roll through this, man. We at the end of it. Let's just, countries that benefited the most from slavery. I want you to read, as fast as you can read, pick the tablet up, you can unplug it. Man, let's get through these slides, brother. Just read. Who benefited the most from enslaving these Chambas, Wolofs, Abrons, Fulanis, Igbos? Who made the most money? Go.
Portugal. Portugal was the first of all European countries to become involved in the Atlantic slave trade. From the 15th to 19th century, the Portuguese exported 4.5 million Africans as slaves to the Americas, making it Europe's largest trafficker of human beings.
Portugal. Go ahead.
Spain, started in 1492.
Yeah.
Spain was the first European country to colonize the New World,
Yeah.
where they established an economic monopoly in the territories of Florida and other parts of North America, Mexico, Trinidad, Cuba, and Cuban islands.
When the Spanish came in, they did this whole dividing line, and they pretty much cut Portugal out of there. Spain came in, and that was a wrap for Portugal. Go ahead.
France, with over 1,600,000 enslaved Africans.
Pause. Start that over.
1,600,000.
There you go. Can't
Enslaved.
leave that 1 million off. That's not giving them the credit
missed
for all of their slave work.
Yeah, I missed
We
the
don't want
comma.
to. We don't want to short France. All those swarthy blue men over there in France. How they get in there? Huh?
Man.
You gotta understand, the Europeans was bringing slaves there before they started bringing anything to the New World. We
Yeah.
want them to come work for us first. That was that first 200 years nobody talking about.
Absolutely.
From 1492 until they started really mass producing slavery in 1600, man, they was bringing slaves into Europe.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
With over 1,600,000 enslaved Africans transported to the West Indies, France was clearly a major player in the trade. Between 1738 and 1745, from Nantes, France, leading slave port, 55,000 slaves were taken to the New World in 180 ships. From 1713 to 1775, nearly 800 vessels in the slave trade sailed from Nantes to the Netherlands.
Where was they really doing work at? They was really taking their slaves. Nantes is the end.
Nantes,
so
I'm
they
sorry.
really took their slaves. Where's the major places? Haiti. And then the Haitians what? Warred back and kicked France out. And then they took them into New Orleans. This is the biggest places that we know that France had a big hold, right? Because that island was split, right? Haitian, and who's on the other side? The Dominican, so that's Spain, right? You got the Spanish, one half of that island, and the other half was the French,
until the natives of Haiti won back their freedom, and that's why they are impoverished today, because you free, but we ain't gonna let nothing come in, right? They've had that sanction and embargo on them for a lot of years, right? So next, y'all, nobody talks about the Netherlands. Go ahead.
The Netherlands. The Dutch West India Company, a chartered company of Dutch merchants, was established in 1621 as a monopoly over the African slave trade to Brazil, the Caribbean, and North America.
What did it say when they took it from Batista? It was an English ship flying a Dutch flag.
Yes,
they playing game. Hey, take down our flag, put up this Dutch, so they think in history the Dutch stole these 20 and odd Negroes. Go ahead.
United States of America.
Uh-oh.
According to Harper's Magazine, November 2000, the United States stole an estimated $100 trillion for 222,505,049 hours of forced labor between 1619 and 1865, with a compounded interest of 6%.
How are they in debt and they made all this money off the labor of all them slaves coming into the Americas? How could we possibly be in debt right now?
There's no way.
What is
Somebody stole some money.
What in the mishandling of money is going on?
Somebody stole some money, man. Somebody stole some money, man.
We should be out of slavery now. Ain't they made enough money?
Man, we could have got them reparations.
Okay, so pause. So United States got all this money off of free work. Now what about England?
England, between 1761 and 1808, British traders hauled 1,428,000 African captives across the Atlantic and pocketed $96.5 million, about $13 billion
with a
today, from selling them as slaves. $13 billion.
Because who was financing the slaves coming in? It says the Navigational Act of 1660.
Yes.
That England became the major provider of slaves into Virginia. So that's why they make that $13 billion off of the slave trade from 1761 to 1808.
That's crazy.
Now watch this. Give me Revelations 13 and 10.
Oh, they stole some money, honey. I've been
So after part 5, it's okay for me to read this scripture because you can understand that because of the disobedience of the surnamed chosen people of Yasharallah, that they discontinue from their inheritance, and the other curses say they were carried away by their enemies, by people they didn't know their language and they didn't know what land they were taken to, right? But what does Revelation 13:10 say that's going to happen in the future? Go.
He that landed into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of those saints.
And who are these people that we worried about? England, United States, Netherlands, France, Spain, Portugal. These are the main people of North America that need to be worried about the chosen children, these capital N Negroes that they have declassified and reclassified as a color in the crayon box. These people in the future, when the Messiah returns, these are the ones that will be led into captivity, say it the Most High. I ain't write the book. Y'all translated it into English, right? Y'all just didn't know what that meant. Or did you? Zechariah 11, verse 4 and 5. Zechariah 11, verse 4 and 5. So obviously if there's nations that benefited, there's got to be people that benefited. Go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord my God, feed the flock of the slaughter, whose possessors slay them.
Who is the flock that's been slaughtered?
Israel.
Yasharallah, his surname, his elect, his chosen people. They've been fed to the slaughter to all of these possessors we just named. Go ahead.
And hold themselves not guilty.
They got the nerve to do what?
Hold themselves not guilty.
When you talk to Europeans right now, they have the nerve to say, I didn't have nothing to do with what my forefathers did, but you directly benefit from what your forefathers did. You are on top, and being classified as white gives you that status by law, by scientific racism, by socialism, by law. You have benefited, and now you have the nerve to look us in the face and call and say, I am not guilty of what they did in the
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, in the 21st century. Still to this day, you go to court and do what? Not guilty. But he sodomized him. He beat him and killed him. Not guilty. Go ahead.
And they that sell them say.
They that what?
They that sell them
Who
say.
benefited? Who are all these people that benefited from the sale of his chosen people? What else they say?
Blessed be the Lord.
Oh, the Lord has given us the power through the manifest destiny, through the doctrine of discovery, and through the papal bulls. They have the nerve to give Christ the credit for allowing them to create racism and be at the top. The Gentiles really have their nerve right now. The nerve of them. We're not guilty. God has blessed us. You know what? He probably did allow it because the wickedness of his chosen people. But it ain't forever. Y'all forgot about prophecy? There's going to be an end to the Gentile rule. Go ahead.
Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich.
Boy, they say, look at all the money we done made. What the trillion, what a billion at, who had all them billion? Was that England?
Yeah.
13 billion.
13 billion, brother.
Go ahead.
Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich.
Boy, they got all them castles. Go ahead.
And their own shepherds pity them not.
Let's keep going. We wrapping up. So what corporations benefited the most? I'm going to squeeze these in because I like how fast you was reading. I ain't going to cut you off. What companies benefited the most through slavery that you have no clue about? You could go to a Black History series and somebody teaching Black history, but they ain't going to teach you your history.
Yeah, man.
I'm teaching you your history, and I'm teaching you the countries that benefited in North America and who are the companies that benefited. Go ahead.
Lehman Brothers.
Lehman Brothers. Boy, say it right.
Lehman Brothers.
Go ahead.
Whose business empire started in the slave trade, recently admitted their part in the business of slavery.
Did you know the Lehman Brothers admitted it?
Oh, no, not this next one.
Go ahead.
Aetna Incorporated.
Aetna, the ones that are insuring you, slave. Go ahead.
Dog it. The United States' largest health insurer apologized for selling policies in the 1850s that reimbursed slave owners for financial losses when they enslaved Africans they owned died.
Stop. That's worth reading slower. Read it again.
Not the third one.
No, read the second one slower.
The United States'
Aetna. Okay.
Aetna, the United States'
He didn't want to say it again. Say it again.
Health insurer.
Start over. Say it again.
Aetna.
That boy don't want to say it, man. You lift your head up, boy. Your countenance drop. Aetna. Go ahead.
The United States' largest health insurer apologized for selling policies in the 1850s that reimbursed slave owners for financial losses when their enslaved Africans they owned died.
I'll read the third one. J.P. Morgan Chase admitted their company's links to slavery. What's wrong with it? If they admit it, if it's public record, it's public record. Stop being so scary, slaves. Stand up, get a backbone. If they admitted it, they admitted it. They admitted their company's linked to slavery. Today, they said, we are reporting that this research found that between 1831 and 1865, two of our predecessor banks, Citizens Bank and Canal Bank in Louisiana, accepted approximately 13,000 enslaved individuals as collateral on loans and took ownership of approximately 1,250 of them when the plantation owners defaulted on the loans. The company wrote in a statement. It's fact. It's truth. Stop piddling around like little coonery slaves. It's the truth. They said it. Why can't you repeat it? It's history. It's his story. I'm just telling you it's your story. What's the problem?
That's it.
What's the problem? They benefited. They admitted it. They can't hide it. Why? Because somebody did the research and said, hold up, you are only as big as you are because of defaulty slave loans. Mm-hmm. Interest on slaves. Policies on insurance on owners for when their slaves died. Uh-oh, my car broke. I got Gap. Let me go get 5 more slaves.
I need them. Gotta have them.
The same way they doing your car insurance, your house insurance, your life insurance, they did that on slaves. You go in there and say, I want a CD. I want to use my house as collateral. I want to use my business as collateral. I want to use whatever as collateral. The owners was using slaves as collateral. And when they defaulted on their loan, you can have those slaves, sell them. Next.
New York Life Insurance Company is the largest mutual life insurance company in the United States.
Largest.
They also took part in slavery by selling insurance policies to enslaved Africans.
They admit this. This is our public record on their website. It's not like it's hidden. It's only hidden for people that ain't looking. Just trying to love everybody, man. You got to know who you're dealing with, or history is repeating itself because people are choosing not to remember the past. Go ahead.
According to USA Today, evidence of 10 more New York Life slaves policies come from an 1847 account book kept by the company's Natchez Mississippi agent W.A. Britton.
Fact. Next.
USA Today reported that Wachovia Corporation, now owned by Wells Fargo, has apologized for its ties to slavery after disclosing that two of its historical predecessors owned enslaved Africans and accepted them as payment.
You ain't gonna close your Wells Fargo account, so be quiet. Next.
USA Today has found that their own parent company, E.W. Scripps in Gannett, has had links to slave trade.
See, it's no way USA can report on Wells Fargo without putting their dirt out there, right? So we're gonna put it out there on Wells Fargo, so we got to put it out there on ourselves too. But we just gonna put one little sentence: E.W. Scripps and Gannett. Man, let's look up E.W. Scripps and Gannett and their involvement in slavery. It's probably bigger than Wells Fargo. But everybody got to put out their laundry now. Go ahead.
N.M. Rothschild and Sons Bank in London was linked to slavery.
Yeah.
The company that was of the biggest names in the city of London had previously undisclosed links to slavery in the British colonies. Documents seen by the Financial Times have revealed that Nathan Mayer Rothschild, the banking family's 19th century patriarch, made personal gains by using enslaved Africans as collateral in dealings with a slave owner.
You talking about the same patriarch that got the Balfour Agreement signed?
Yes, sir.
Pause. Next.
Norfolk Southern, also a history in slave trade. The Mobile and Gadret Company, which is now part of Norfolk Southern, offered slaveholders $180, $3,379 today apiece for enslaved Africans they would rent to the railroad for 1 year. According to the records, the Central of Georgia, another company aligned with Norfolk Southern Line today, valued slaves at $31,303. That's $663,033 today on record.
So slaves was being rented out for free. They work was free, but the people renting them out to the train stations was making $3,375 a year per slave.
Per slave.
Or $180 per slave. Next.
According to reports, Fleet Boston evolved from an earlier financial institution, Providence Bank, founded by John Brown, who was a slave trader and owned ships used to transport enslaved Africans.
Go ahead.
The bank financed Brown's slaves' voyages and profited from them. Brown even reportedly helped charter what became Brown's University.
What?
Oh my gosh.
I almost went there too.
Man, boy, me too.
They recruited me too.
Me too, man.
They wanted all the slaves. Hey, go ahead.
Man.
Pause.
Brown Brothers Harriman is the oldest and largest private investment bank and securities firm in the United States. Founded in 1818, USA Today found that the New York Merchant Bank of James and William Brown, currently known as Brown Brothers Harriman, owned hundreds of enslaved Africans and financed the cotton economy by lending millions to Southern planters, merchants, and cotton brokers.
Wow. Go ahead.
Brooks Brothers, the Brothers Brooks, the high-end suit retailer, got their start selling slave clothing to various slave traders back in the 1800s. What a way to get rich in the immoral slave industry.
Go ahead.
Barclays. All you people that got them Barclay cards. The British National Banking and Financial Services Company, headquartered in London, has now conceded that companies it bought over the years may have been involved in the slave trade.
Just companies we bought. I ain't really naming them. We just know that some of them
Yeah.
got some history of the slave
wanna be
trade.
no whistleblower.
You know, period. Next question. Go ahead.
USA Today reported that the New York-based AIG company completed the purchase of American General Financial Group, a Houston-based insurer that owns U.S. life insurance company A. U.S. Life Policy on an enslaved African in Living, Kentucky was reprinted in 1935 article about slave insurance. The American Conservationist magazine, AIG, says it has founded documentation indicating U.S. life insured enslaved Africans.
So whatever happened, boy, somebody had to spill the beans. Hey, somebody was doing some investigation and they did some real work. Did you know? And if you didn't know, why didn't you know? Read Zechariah 11 for me again, 4 and 5, and then we'll read the last scripture. Let's just read that one more time. Well, why you put all that information out? Because it's our history. And they were enslaving your foremothers and your forefathers. Y'all ashamed of the true story of where you come from? Y'all just pretending like y'all are above it or like anything's changed? Nothing has changed. They just found a new way to make money. Read 4 and 5 again.
Thus saith the Lord my God, feed the flock of the slaughter, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty.
All right, we still being slain in the street? Everybody ain't being slain in the street. We don't see other dark races of people being slain in the street, do you?
Mm-mm.
You see a major rise in people from India? They're pretty dark. What about Ghanese, Nigerian? We have big Nigerian communities. You see a lot of Nigerians getting killed in the street? A lot of South Africans, Guatemalans, Colombians. No, you don't see one group of dark race of people being killed in the street. And they possessors slay them, hold themselves not guilty. Go ahead.
And they that slay them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not.
Last scripture. Proverbs 11. These are our last two places. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 31. Go ahead when you get it, brother.
Behold, the righteous shall be recompensed in the earth, much more the wicked and the sinner.
So behold, the righteous shall be repaid in the earth. Much more, so shall the wicked and the sinner also be repaid for everything that they have done, that they have benefited from. And it's more than an apology needed. It needs to be corrected.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want an apology. We want correction.
Yes.
We want justice and equality.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we want. Save your apology. Get up and start writing all of those bills to make the change. Because we know by your law and by your system, it has to be on the record.
Yes, sir.
That's what we want. We want you to draft that bill, Congressman, because y'all make law.
Right.
And change what has been wrong.
Yes, sir.
Change all of these acts that we're about to get into in part 6, correct it. Because by law, you establish these things, but most colored people walk around and have no clue that by law, these things are allowed to happen. Proverbs 20 and 22. Go ahead.
Say not thou, I will recompense evil.
So you sisters and brothers right now that have been watching me, that are like, I mean, if you ain't feeling some kind of way, you just aren't human, right? But the Most High said, don't try to repay them yourself. So all these brothers is out there talking about what they gonna do. Man, you should be more worried about making it into the kingdom than what you think you're gonna do in the kingdom. Go ahead.
But wait on the Lord, Yahweh.
Wait a minute, you doing all that talking, sound like you're not waiting on Yahweh. You're not waiting on the Messiah to return. You're not waiting on the angelic force that can not be defeated. I would rather wait till I'm at full capacity, right? Go ahead.
And he shall save thee.
Read it again, brother.
Say not thou, I will recompense evil.
Watch what y'all saying out here, sister and brother. Don't try to take the Most High glory, because he already told them he coming. They already know that he's coming. Don't try to steal his thunder. Go ahead.
But wait on Yahweh.
But do what?
Wait on Yahweh.
Patience. Go ahead.
And he shall save thee.
Hey, I don't teach these things to get any kind of glory. The Most High said the truth will set you free. So I'm just telling you our story, and you do with it as you may, sisters and brothers. But truly it's to free your mind from the hocus pocus and the spell that's been put on us. And it is through ignorance that we allow certain things to happen to us that other nationalities don't allow them to happen. You hear what I said clearly? Other nationalities. If we don't know who we are, how could we demand anything? And with that, sisters and brothers, I hope you enjoyed part five of our history series, the others that carried us away. Stay tuned. The next week, we'll go into our history, the hidden and the lost. We'll give our praise and glory to the Most High Yahweh,
Yes,
His
sir.
Son that shed His blood for our sins, Yahweh Shai. And we say, sisters and brothers, stay tuned. Come and join us. Come
and join
fellowship.
us. Yes,
Brother
sir.
said a great prayer. We pray that those that are seeking Him in spirit and in truth come and have a holy convocation here in the Richardson, Texas area, 902. Well, hey, I don't got to say it no more. It's been on the ticker running across the whole lesson. You know where we're at. You know where to find us.
Yes,
Y'all
sir.
bless.
Y'all bless.